I am nearly certain I'm forgetting something major and I haven't figured out what it is yet. It's concerning. Let's see if we've got audio and let's get this updated. There's like, I don't know, a really long delay, so it'll take me a minute to find out if it's all working. Let's see. I hear nothing. Oh, there we go. I hear me. Okay, I don't want to hear me anymore. That was enough. Okay, here we go. So with this one, this is a long drawing. Tons and tons and tons of detail, as you can see. I'm going to start on her hand. One thing I do want to mention to you guys, though, and I put a link in, it should be. Actually, did I put a link? Let's find out. Did I put it in the video description? I meant to, if not. Hold on. Let's see before I get all excited. Good, I did. So I put a link for this in the video description. If you've watched some of my way older graphite tutorials, and it's been years since I've really used it, but when I use the mechanical pencil, I use the AN4B lead. So that is this one. Just so you can see what the packaging looks like. I used this for years. It's extremely dark, very soft lead. I absolutely love it, and they discontinued it. So I had people regularly message me that they found the AN Stein lead. It's like an oval, and it says Stein inside the oval. Not the same. That stuff is almost like, I don't know, a 2H or something like that. Like it is not, it doesn't feel like working with the high polymer. The high polymer is going to be really, really soft lead. It's going to get really dark and it's so good for the little details. Like, and it's not that you have to have a mechanical pencil. You can certainly do the same kind of detail with a normal one. It's just that I don't have to sharpen a pencil when I'm using these. So I decided I was going to go ahead and start using it on the hair again. And when these actually got discontinued, I bought a lifetime supply, like every single one I could find on eBay. I bought them all. So that's why you guys can't get any. They're all in my art supply drawer. But anyway, I decided if I wanted to use this again, I needed to find an alternative for you guys. Why the heck I did not look for one sooner? Because obviously this is not the only company in the history of mechanical leads that would be good. So the first one that I've tried so far, where is it? Do I have it over here? I don't see it. Huh. It was over here. Here it is. Faber-Castell makes one. Well, theirs is only 2B. So it looks like, I don't know if you can see that. But this one, it's the 0.5 that for the size, and it's 2B. Faber-Castell high polymer, or they call it super polymer leads. So dark. When I switch this one, like if I were working with the 4B AN and switch to this, I don't think I'd notice the difference. It's that close. So there might be a minor difference between their 2B and then the AN 4B, but it is super close. Definitely recommend this. I bought this on my own from Amazon just for transparency. Although I will say one of the sets of pencils I'm using tonight, because I've got two of the Faber-Castell. One was given to me by Faber-Castell. One I bought myself, so it's not really sponsored other than I'm using supplies they sent me. Well, some supplies they sent me. Everything else I bought myself that I'm using tonight. But anyway, this one I really like. I did pick up a couple more, and by a couple I mean 3 because I can't count, that I'm going to be trying. They're still in the package. I got this one, this Neox graphite. This one, I'm not sure if that's going to be as soft, but that one says that it's a 4B. I found Pentel, Pentel is who makes the AN. There are like old packaging that said, I think on the listing it said, yeah, high polymer 4B black lead. And I'll try that to make sure it's the same. I think that's the same. I think this is the old packaging of that, unless, I don't know. I don't know what the company is doing, but I did find this, which I'm pretty sure is the same. And then I found this one, the Uni, says high quality leads. What does the back say? It doesn't say if it's high polymer. It's not in English. I have no idea what that says. I'm going to try all these and I will keep you guys updated, but I know for certain right now, if you are looking for an alternative to when you always hear me talk about the AN4B lead, the Faber-Castell Super Polymer 2B, I'm absolutely in love with it. So, I get to start using mechanical pencils again since I found an alternative for you guys. I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, let me get caught up on some of these questions really quick. I'm not going to be recording tonight, so I don't need that. Let's see. Oh my gosh, whole bunch I missed. Here we go. I think I'm all the way up at the top. Just going to scroll down here 1 second. Make sure if you have a question, use the @Lachri Fine Art. If it doesn't highlight in orange, I just don't notice your question. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you. I just don't see it. Where did we go? Oh, and it scrolled. I came to a question and then it scrolled. Letty says, I'm doing a coral piece similar to the surreal one, but with different corals and an octopus instead of a cat. Would I be able to sell it? Absolutely. So here's the thing that a lot of people misunderstand about copyright. And it's not that you can't paint something similar that another artist did. If I painted, like Lena Dania just had a video that's great about copyright. Definitely go watch that. But like she used the example, if I paint a sunflower, like people were like, oh, if I paint a sunflower because you painted a sunflower, then it's copyright. No, that's not what she's saying. If you can both, if you're using the same reference photo, like if I took my own reference photo of that sunflower and I painted it and you copied my painting, that's copyright issue. Like I own the copyright to my painting. I own the copyright to my photograph. I do not own the copyright to all sunflowers in the history of sunflowers. So with you, if you were inspired by one of my pieces and you changed it though, you put an octopus instead of a cat, you use different corals, that is 100% on you. It's obviously inspired by me, but it's still your piece in that case because you weren't using my reference photos. You weren't using, just copying straight from my artwork. So with that, you're totally okay. Assuming you have rights to use those coral photos, which I'm going to go ahead and guess you did. So now another thing that gets a little tricky with so many of us who are using Pixabay and I'm trying to think, Pixabay, wildlife reference photos. If you've bought photos from Jason Morgan has a lot of great photos, or even like my Patreon photos, you're using that. A whole bunch of artists are going to use the same reference photo. So it's not like, oh, first person to draw it, they've got copyright on that. If we all draw the same wolf, we're using the same reference. That's not a violation of copyright. Now, copying someone's painting of that wolf, of that photo, that ends up, you start getting muddy. But using the same reference photo, you will have a lot of people doing the same thing. So I recommend when we're all using the same reference photo, try to make it unique. Try to make it your own, just for the sake of why paint the same thing everyone else is doing. I say that as I'm pretty much copying my reference photo exact on this. Sometimes you want to copy things exact. But anyway, I hope that clears that up. Copyright gets a little confusing, I know. But yeah, no, you absolutely would be able to sell it as long as you have rights to use the photos that you're working from. Elaine said, thank you for trying to find new mechanical pencil lead. I'm using mechanical pencils, but I have that Stein. Yeah, the Stein, they're scratchy, they're hard. They feel like the H pencils. Not a fan. Do not recommend. I mean, you can use them. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just not going to get you the same results. So I'm thinking I may pick up with a Faber-Castell a few more of the different leads. So I have maybe something in the H range, a 2 or a 4H. I haven't even looked to see what else is available, but something around there, and use those. When I do detail like that, it would just make things so much easier. Laura said, was it hard to change from a flat table to an upright easel for working in pencil? Yeah, it was a bit weird at first. But I'm talking about maybe a week, 2 weeks max. I did adjust quickly, but it felt really weird at first. Now it feels more weird for me to draw flat. So, I should rephrase that. It feels more weird for me to do the shading flat. When I freehand, I'm still not comfortable freehanding upright. I have to go flat. So, that I never really got used to, like the actual freehand stuff. I'm sure I could, I just never did. Let's see. Lauren said, I'm drawing Prim from THG. I don't know what THG is. Why is my the Hunger Games? I think it's the Hunger Games. Did I figure it out? And Polly's, Prismas, and Derwent Color Soft Pencils, and wanted to know if you had any tips for drawing drawing elaborate braids. Yes, like I did here, break it down into one little square inch. That's the only square inch you're working on that braid. Don't try to do all her hair at once. It is not going to come out looking right. Just one little thing in it's all light and dark. It's all where are your shadows, where are your highlights. That's all it is. Don't look at it as I'm drawing hair, because when you do, it doesn't usually come out looking like hair. It comes out looking like zombie hair, real stringy. Look at your shapes and your shadows. That's really what you want to focus on when you're drawing any type of hair. Thanks, Crystal. Christy said, hello, I'm glad to get to hang out with everyone for a bit. It's 11 a.m. on Thursday here. I'm usually at my day job. Oh my gosh. You're from the future. You're kind of magical to me right now. Okay, let's work. So what I'm doing, I'm going to first cut my piece of glassine up so I can rest my hand. This is actually going to be weird. I don't need this yet. Change my mind, because that never happens. Nonstop. So what I'm going to do, I am using, I've got graphite powder all over me. I'm using graphite powder. This one is the Generals. The one that I have linked in the video description is it's another brand, but it should all work the same. This one they no longer make, but this is going to last me probably the rest of my life. So They should be the same though. So what I'm going to do, this is a soft tool, S-O-F-F-T. This is the stuff that you usually will see me use with either pan pastels or with powder blender. It's intended, I think, is it the same people? Nick might know, who made pan pastels. That is what I'm going to use. I've just got a little bit on there, not much, and I want to test it here. I'm going to get my base shadows on her arm here because she's really very pale. I could do this with the graphite pencil, but this saves a lot of time, and I'm just going to get a base on here. I'll come back over with my pencils. Now, the photo, if you saw my thumbnail for this, the photo in the thumbnail, I think looks way darker than the artwork does because it looked like in that photo, her shoulder was super, super dark. It's not that dark. So my white balance was clearly off on that photo. And I was just too lazy to fix it. It happens. I need a little bit more. Oh, thank you, Crystal. Okay, so all I'm doing, I used to do this whole elaborate thing with graphite powder where I poured it into another container, and then I don't even do that anymore. I just dab my little soft tool into this, and then I use the lid of the container and just kind of tap some of that off. Rub it onto that. But I've found I can simplify that a lot. The way that I used to do that made it kind of a pain. So like now that I've reloaded it, look how dark that is. I don't want to go straight once I've dabbed that into graphite powder onto the artwork because it'll make a mess. So I'm gonna rub most of that off onto my paper. Now this paper is just cut off of a different paper, not this. It's the same type though, the same Fabriano or Artistico. So it's good for testing things. You guys talking about how hot it is so funny to me. Although I guess I have air conditioner, so it's not as bad. But I live in Texas. It's really hot and humid. Oops, that's too dark. So what I'm going to do when that happens, I'm going to use my kneaded eraser. I can just pull some of that up. This is the great thing too about using the graphite powder is it erases really clean. Like I could erase that all the way if I needed to. I want to make sure I can still see the lines where her fingers go, just so I don't have to redraw everything. What is any? Oh, those are highlights of something back there. I don't need to worry about that. This all needs to be darker. You just smudge over that too. Okay, so that gives me a base to start on. Some areas I may want a little bit lighter, but for the most part, I'm going to go darker from here. So I can put that away. Kirsty said, if anyone lives in Australia, you can still currently get the General's powder from Art to Art. It's a physical and online store. Well, that's cool. Especially for Australia, because I think more often than not, I hear complaints that like it takes forever for you guys to get stuff. So that's really cool. You guys have a bit of a bonus there. But is it Create a Color, something like that? It really should be. I probably should buy one just to double check, but it should be the same. There really should be no difference in graphite powders. I'd be shocked if there was. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to jump to my 4H pencil. And I'm going to start shading the underside here. And I'm going to do this in little ovals. Now, I know this is going to need to be way darker, but I don't want to jump to my darkest darks. If I do, I end up with results that are really grainy and gritty. So we're just going to start lightly shading that in. Now, this is all going to be broken up too. It's going to look really weird for tonight just because it doesn't have the little grassy blades that are going to go in front of her arm. So that will break a lot of this up. And the nice thing when you have something like that, like the blades of grass, if I completely screw something up, like I was worried that a few nights ago, or like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't know, I can't tell time, my shoulder chicken, he broke a blood feather and I had to bring him in here to watch him to make sure it wasn't bleeding. And I have spots. I keep finding little chicken blood spots on mostly over by my desk, but I was worried it was going to get on this. And it was super tiny. Let's say that did happen. I would, because I'm not selling this one, so it doesn't really matter if blood is archival. That sounds really disturbing, but I could throw a blade of grass in front of it. Blades of grass, great way to fix things. If you've got something that you can throw in front of it, like if I'm doing a marine scene and I screw something up, there suddenly will be an extra fish or a bubble there. So you want to learn fun little tricks like that to hide things. And in this case, I don't have to be perfectly smooth. I don't have to be perfect on anything because this is going to be covered by a lot of grass, but I need to get this in there first. I think this 4H may be a little too hard. I'm going to switch to the 2H. Whoops. Oh, no, I don't want speakers. Why are you doing this? Go away. Go away. Thanks, Crystal. Laura said, I have graphite powder, but I'm always scared to use it. Do you only use it for the first layer? No, I actually, quite a few times, if you're on Patreon, this one is, the hair is available to you now. If not, this will end up being on YouTube, just not yet. But the hair, I went back and forth where I did things with the graphite powder, then went back through with the pencils, then back through and toned it all down with the graphite powder. I went back and forth quite a bit. So no, you can use it for later layers where you really want to soften things. Or if it's something where I realized I need this whole section to be darker, graphite powder can do that for you. PZ Cherokee said, I see why you don't like charcoal now. I accidentally got charcoal powder instead of graphite powder, and everything I touch has charcoal on it now. It's getting all over my apartment. Oh no, I've not tried the charcoal powder. Although even this, I've got graphite powder on my finger now just from 5 minutes of sitting here. Oh, I guess it's been 15. Christy said, Australians miss out on so many, you know what? I can't see things. Let's turn this a little. Miss out on so many supplies that the US and UK can get, or they are so expensive. I'm glad when we can win with at least one product. I'm glad for you too. Although you do have really cool animals, so that kind of makes it for everything in my world. Tom said, Lisa, when I'm outdoors painting a landscape, sometimes I have trouble determining what color an object is, especially things in the distance. Any advice? So don't worry so much about color. It's not going to be perfect. You don't need it to be perfect. Generally, colors in the distance, you'll want them to be cooler, a little bit more blues, stuff like that. It'll make it purples. It'll make it feel like it's farther away. You're going to put, usually, there are exceptions, but usually if you pull your warmer colors up front, that helps you to get a lot of depth in that. So like the yellow or any of your warmer colors are going to feel like they're closer to the viewer. Again, there are always exceptions. I know somebody, usually it won't be in the live stream, it's later on. No, you're wrong. Whatever, just paint it your way then. But the point is, you can do that to kind of help. You don't worry about it being exact. Get your values. Are your darks dark enough? Your lights light enough? That's really what you want to focus on. That's going to make all the difference for you. I'm just going to smudge this in with my shading tool. She's got here a shadow that comes through. So you can see here, my shading tool, really dirty. And this is why I typically don't, well, not typically, I don't at all. I don't recommend cleaning these. People will try to clean them or use those sandpaper blocks. I think I have one somewhere over here. These guys, people will use to try to sharpen these. These don't need to be sharpened. There's no reason to sharpen them, and then you make them fluffy and fuzzy, and they don't blend as smooth, and it's a hot mess. I use these sandpaper blocks. I use, like here, you can see I was sharpening a colored pencil. But for these, I don't try to sharpen these. I want them dirty. Look at how, just from previous use, I'm able to do some shading and drawing just with this, and it comes out really nice and soft. So don't feel like these need to be sharp and clean all the time. I want them not sharp and not clean. I'll have to sharpen up that line here with my pencils because her dress actually, that line right between her dress and her arm, I need to sharpen that edge. Whoops. Let's see. Blue Tea Art said, my local Hobby Lobby has replaced Liquitex heavy body paint to add more of their own brand acrylics. So where can I get professional art supplies? Unfortunately, I'm having to go online more and more. I get them from Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama. Those are the two online places I generally shop from. But it's funny. I think that Hobby Lobby, Michaels, all of these stores, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're going to lose the professional artists who are like, we don't want your generic crap. So, I mean, I'm fine with generic paintbrushes. I use the generic Hobby Lobby paintbrushes all the time. I have a problem with generic art supplies. I don't trust that they're going to, I mean, you guys have heard me make this rant a million times. I don't trust that they're high quality. I don't trust that they're going to be as light fast as they claim. I just don't trust them, and I don't like them. I've used them. I'm not a fan. They're okay, I guess, but I wouldn't pay for them. I've had students bring them into the class, but they are thinking, well, I can make more money if we make it ourselves. Yeah, you're going to lose people. I mean, some newer artists or young artist kids, I think they're going to be fine. But what they're not, like the big picture, just marketing wise, what these businesses are not thinking about. And Michael's was just notorious for this. I used to run the classroom, the one that I worked at back in California. And the district managers would they were actually violating state law because they weren't putting proper labels on things. They were making us make these craft bags for kids. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess, the things they would do, and some shady illegal stuff on top of that. But they, as far as the way they did their sales. So, actually, I can tell you, they used to change their labels. At least the store I worked at, they would change their floral arrangements. Like if they had a big 50% off sale, they would raise all the prices the day before. That is so illegal. You are not allowed to do that. And they did it a lot. So anyway, these stores, a lot of them, I don't know. They don't think of the big picture. So like for a while, they had gotten rid of their fine art classes where they weren't doing, the classes that I teach. I used to teach there. And it's the month I moved to Texas was the last month of classes. So it actually worked out good. I was going to lose my job anyway. But they decided they were only going to do Wilton cake decorating and a few other things. Okay, but if you're not having classes for the other supplies, even though the classes themselves don't make you money, the art supplies the teachers sell, because people needed to get their art supplies there, that's where the money was made. And they didn't see it that way. They're only looking at the numbers that the class, like for the class fees that Michael's made off that, like, oh, it's not worth it. That's not where you're making them. They just don't look at the big picture. And it's the same thing with these art supplies now. They're looking at it as, well, the art supply department doesn't make us as much money as the other stuff that we sell, the home decorating, whatever, all the craft stuff. So we'll go ahead and just get rid of them and make our own. Well, no, if I go into Michael's or somewhere to buy a tube of paint, there's a good chance I'm going to buy stuff in the rest of their store too. Like it all is connected and tied in. If that's what brought me in, I may end up spending an extra $50 just on random stuff in the store. Well, now I'm not even going into your store anymore because you don't carry the things that I need. And the stores aren't looking at that, which really sucks because I would rather buy things locally but not a thing now. Kelly said, I worked a second job for an airline and was so tempted to fly to Alaska this weekend because even Utah is too hot for me. I bet Alaska's gorgeous right now too. Isn't this like the prettiest time of year for them? And I wouldn't have blamed you. Laura said, thanks, I'll try it out more. Oops, that just scrolled too far. Whoa, that really scrolled too far. Here we go. Kaviam said, working on a detailed portrait that has scattered light. If there's a colander over the light source, it's probably going to drive me insane. So far, I love it. I bet it's going to look amazing, though. When you get the lighting like that, oh my gosh, those are always the best portraits. My tip for you on that, though, don't be afraid to get the contrast where it needs to be. It is so easy to go, oh, it's kind of a weird pattern. It almost looks like leopard print. No, when it all comes together, get that contrast in there. It's going to be amazing, I bet. Piper Maid said, I just received a rejection on a submission for an art exhibition. It was a commissioned piece. Are there still people that don't consider colored pencil an artistic medium? Yes, absolutely there are. Ideally, I would say try to make your colored pencils look like oil paintings or acrylic paintings. I don't want, and that's just my own personal thing. Everyone has their own opinion. I don't want my colored pencil to look like colored pencil. I want it to look like all my other mediums I work in. And I don't know, I've never been rejected for using colored pencil. Actually, one of the places, Frisco, where I regularly display my artwork, at the city hall, they request colored pencil work from me because it's more unique. Like it's not something that everybody else is doing, so it'll be different. But yeah, there are definitely some people who do not take colored pencil as serious as I wish they would. But I think that's starting to change a lot. I know of some just phenomenal artists. So I can't even say it's that it doesn't look like the other mediums, because I know one artist, and I can't remember which one it was. She had been declined. Her work was amazing, and she was declined from was it an art gallery? Something like that, because they wanted her using a real medium, like oil painting. And her work is phenomenal. And so there are still definitely a lot of places out there like that have that attitude. I don't know if it's that they don't realize that we're using hopefully we're using archival pencils and materials and that it is going to last. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but it's unfortunately fairly common still. But it's also getting more and more common that people like it and accept it. So we're kind of in this in-between stage right now, I think. Sorry about the rejection, though. hopefully they'll learn. Hopefully more people will keep submitting their work and they'll realize, oh, this is actually really good. Nick said, hi, Lisa, new here. How do develop the patience to work on a picture with so much detail? Stupid question. No, it's not a stupid question at all. For me, I listen to audiobooks. Really, really helps me. And I set little mini goals. So I'm not going to sit and be like, I'm going to try to finish this whole thing in a couple of nights or anything like that. Oh no, I'm going to get burnt out and be done. Like, well, I'm not going to get, it's going to look terrible is what's going to happen. But you want to set mini goals. Like tonight, my goal is to finish her hand, probably not on the live stream. You'll just see the start of working on our live stream in the hand of the live stream. But once the live stream is over, I'll finish her hand, or either that or a colored pencil piece I've got to get done too. But I set goals like this is as far as I need to get tonight. And that makes it way, way easier. Or even like goals on when I'm going to take a break. Okay, I'm going to work just on here, this whole section, and then I get to take a break. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to do whatever, get a snack, get some more tea, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to work on this section until that section is done, or maybe it would be a smaller section, like just that part of the hair. But giving yourself these little mini goals, I think it makes you feel like you're accomplishing more. Because if you look at this, I've been working on this for weeks. And I haven't even started her face. I mean, there's a lot to go still. And that I can definitely, I remember when that used to frustrate me. But now I just set these little mini goals. So it's like, okay, I got something done. So not the whole piece, but I got these little bits done. And that helps me too. Let's see. There's one from Donna. Where did it go? Donna said, have you tried the golden open acrylic paints? They're acrylics with longer open time. I've not tried them, but I don't think I want them because if I use acrylics, I want them to dry quickly. If I want them to dry slowly, I use my airbrush to spray water to keep it wet for as long as I need. I don't see myself like the concept of it. Now I've not used them, so I can't say there, but the concept of how and why they do what they do doesn't appeal to me. It's kind of the opposite of what I want acrylics to do. So I don't have any serious advice there for you. Oh, you even said, I don't care for them, but maybe I wasn't doing it right. Yeah, I mean, the concept of what acrylics, I want acrylics to dry pretty quickly so that I can get out on my next stage. That's one of the reasons if I need to get a lot of work done quickly, it will almost always be acrylics that I choose. That is, I'm more experienced with it, so I'm faster at it than other mediums anyway, but acrylics, they're just a fast medium to work in, and something that's going to take longer to dry, that is not what I'm looking for in an acrylic. So if I want it to dry faster, I could, you've got the hairdryer, of course, but if I need it to dry slower, I just use my airbrush, which is always sitting here. I just fill it with water and then just mist the area that needs to be kept wet. I could keep it wet for hours if I need to. But I feel it gives me a lot of control and a lot of freedom that way. So I've just never really been into, and one of my students, she gave me years ago, and I haven't tried them yet, and I don't remember the brand, an open acrylic. So I should try it just so that I've experienced it. Now I've used slow drying mediums, which I think makes it work kind of the same. So it takes a lot longer to dry. I hated those. Absolutely hated them. It gunked up the paint. It gave it a weird texture. Like, it is not what I want acrylic paint to use. Maybe if I painted a different style, more impressionistic, or I don't know, something else, maybe then it would be a fit. So I'm not going to say no one would ever like it. I did not like it though, at all. Not a fit for how I work. And I'm not even certain if open acrylics would be the same as using a slow drying medium for acrylics. If one of you guys knows, let me know. I've not tried the other. Terry Mills said, when doing the edge of her arm, are you still using light pressure? Yeah, everything I'm doing here is very, very light. I'm not pushing hard at all. My fingers are bendy, so it looks like I'm pushing harder than I am. I'm not. I have weird fingers. Chrissy said, how many subscribers would you recommend having on YouTube before starting a Patreon? Or would you recommend doing a Skillshare Udemy single course on your own website first? So I've never used Skillshare, Udemy, any of those. It just doesn't seem like a fit. I feel like I'd be competing with myself almost, which is like, if you sign up for Patreon, you're going to get so much more from me than you would get for the same price or more at one of those things. So it feels weird to me to do one of those courses. Is it Skillshare? Or I think Skillshare just wanted me to advertise for them. But it just doesn't seem like a fit. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but right now, not a fit for me. You never know with how social media works. Facebook, I think, is about to go down. That's a whole other thing I'll come back to. Anyway, if the article I read was correct, who knows with that stuff. But Patreon, any of these things, well, I don't know with Udemy and Skillshare because that, like I've said, I've not done before. But with Patreon, that's going to work best if you've already got a following. I know I've read where people get mad. Patreon never shares my page. It wouldn't matter if they did. You're not going to grow from that. People don't grow because they see your page advertised on Patreon at all. Like, that is not how this works. You've got to bring subscribers or patrons over to Patreon. So I had about 20 to 25,000 when I started. And right off the bat, I think the first month I was making like an extra $200. So it was worth it already for me to go ahead and put that extra work into it. And then the more patrons I got, the more it was even worth doing more. Like, I put so much work into Patreon now, way more than when I started. But I don't think you need to have that many. I would say at least a few thousand to get started, because you have to keep in mind, Patreon takes a lot of work. I spend an insane amount of time each week doing a 2-hour tutorial or a 2-hour voiceover. So I've got to do the artwork, which works for Facebook, or not Facebook, it works for YouTube and Patreon, but it's the slower version. To do a 2-hour voiceover on Patreon may take me 4 hours. It's a very long process. So, that on top of, like, I just went and had to take photos. I say had to take, it was a blast. I love doing it. But I got more reference photos this week. I just edited half of them. There are sea turtles in this, in July's reference photos for Patreon this year. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show you guys. But anyway, I'm still editing stuff. So, you know, I've got to put the time into editing, taking photos, then editing photos. Postcards, which I need to order the next batch of, but postcards, like, all of these things take a lot of time. So if you're only making, let's say, $50 a month on Patreon, right, to start, or let's say you're only making $10 a month, is it worth it? Probably not. Wait till you've got enough followers who are going to be interested in your tutorials and such. And I see a lot of artists try to use Patreon as just a donation platform. Oh, support me by giving me money on Patreon. But for what? I looked at what you offer. You're not offering anything anyone's really going to be that interested in. So that's the other thing to really think about with Patreon. Make sure you're doing something. You know, would you buy it? Would you sign up for it? If not, then probably other people aren't going to be interested either. So you've got to balance. Make sure you've got a product that people are going to want to sign up for, but you've got to have that following. And I would say a couple, 2,000-3,000 to start with at least. But even then, be careful with what awards or rewards you put in there, because you may end up putting more time than you're able to make back to make it worth it, if that makes sense. But the more, the better. I mean, I want to say, Jason Morgan was 10 or 15,000 subscribers when he started. Maybe not. Maybe it was more. I don't remember. But he didn't have as many, but he right off the bat was doing well to where it was totally worth him doing it. So, but he had a lot of following on, you don't just have to have followers on Facebook. You could just have, or on, I keep saying Facebook, on YouTube. You could have a bunch of followers on Facebook, and that may, if they're interested in tutorials, that may transition for you into Patreon, but you have to send them there. It's kind of like, I've got the advertisement here for prints, that lachri.pixels.com. If I don't tell you guys they're there, people aren't just going to go to Fine Art America, and that's what that website is. They're not going to go to Fine Art America and find your prints. Very few people just buy something from me because they were browsing and they're like, oh, this person painted a dolphin and I like it. Very few. The majority of people who buy my prints are because I advertised on or told them about it on Facebook or my newsletter or my website, or, they came there because I sent them there, not because they were just browsing Fine Art America and found it. In most cases, there are always exceptions. And Patreon's very similar. You've got to send them there in order to make it worth it. Pencils on the floor. I just elbowed that. I guess I need to push those forward. But if you're not sending them there, they're not going to find you. It's not that, like, what was that thing they used to say all the time? Build it and they will come. No, that's not how it works. Build it, then market it. And then they will come. Let me pick up the pencils I just threw on the floor. Glad these aren't Prismacolors. I have to put in that jab every single chance I get. I'm a jerk. Oh, these are all out of order now. Okay. Now what fell? Oh, that can stay on the floor. Wait, move it so I don't step on it, because inevitably that will happen. Okay. Let's see. Oh. But I can't say, like, this is the number of subscribers you should have. You just have to consider, are you going to get enough people to sign up to make it worth the time, the effort that goes into it? Because a lot of time goes into Patreon. Okay, next we have... Elaine said, are the light color wisps in her hair done with the Tombow Mono Eraser? Yes, they are. I started my base with the Graphite Powder. I applied it with my little... soft tool sponge, and then erase it, because anything that you apply with the soft tool, or if you applied the graphite with your shading tool, those things erase really well. Let me show you really quick. Where did I throw the paper? Yep, paper's on the floor too. So if I've shaded something, let's make this a bit darker, or we can even darken it up with this guy. when I use the Tombow Mono Eraser, things erase really well. If you push just barely at all, just letting the edge drag, see how thin those lines can be. If I push harder, I'm going to get a thick line. So it's a lot like using a paintbrush in that sense. Now, if I had, let's say I got that to a B. And I fill that in with a pencil, it doesn't erase quite as well. I don't want to take the time to really blend that out. Let's go ahead and soften that with the shading tool so it looks kind of similar. It's a little darker, but you'll get the point. It's not going to erase as nicely. It's going to lighten it, but not like what I can get when I've used either a shading tool to apply the graphite or graphite powder. And when I use the shading tool, I'm not using graphite powder on the shading tool. That's just because it's dirty from shading other things. Or I can scribble on another piece of paper and then lift it onto the shading tool and apply it that way. Wrong mouse. Letty said, I was listening to your description of your new house. Just curious if the master bedroom is your studio and another bedroom your office. Where does Matt plan to sleep? So the studio is, or the master bedroom is my studio because I need as much room as possible for filming and all of this stuff that has to go in there. The office is actually an office in the room. And then there are 3 bedrooms. One is where I will sleep. The second is where Matt will sleep. He snores. So we're next to each other, but not in the same room. I can't sleep without snoring. And then the other room will be his computer room, and the birds will be in one of those. But he'll also be like some video editing can happen in the second. So there's like the second or the third bedroom. No, wait, that would technically be the 4th bedroom that he'll have his computer in, and we can do some editing and stuff in that room as well. So it's almost like having 2 offices and a studio. But yeah, he will have a bedroom. Let's see. Rick's Artwork said, did you see the Aaron Blazes on Patreon now? I did not. That's cool. Starving Artist Collective said, stop using Facebook at the Cambridge Analytica scandal. They have done nothing since to restore my trust in them. Be good to hear your alternatives. So I've got to look into alternatives, and I'm not sure what they're going to be, but I think it's time to really seriously start looking. The problem that we're having right now is a lot of these bigger social media companies, they've got a bit of a monopoly, and anytime somebody tries to make a new one, they pull all this. I mean, they do a lot to get those new ones shut down. So I don't know how well another will do. I really wish Google Plus was still here. This would be a good time for them to come back. But the Facebook now again, I don't know how true this is, but an article somebody had written, it was from a it was from authors. They were talking about, like, you have your business page where you advertise different things, and it went through the list of that, and Facebook is pushing now groups more than anything else. Okay, they want more of that intimate relationship. Well, most groups aren't like ours where we don't allow people to be jerks and, talk badly to people. Most groups are full of people who behave like children. The reef groups I'm in, even the orchid groups or the gardening groups, you get people who just behave like flipping children. It's insane to me. So I'm not sure why they think that's going to make people happier, but they're really pushing the groups thing. The problem with that is they're also now saying if somebody in your group posts something that violates Facebook's terms of service, you could lose your account. Like, so let's say one of you guys posts nudes or something, not nude art, but like stuff that isn't allowed on Facebook, and somebody else tags it, Facebook could come after my personal account and just poof, I'm gone because of that. Like, that's an oversimplified way that it is. There's more into it. So I would recommend looking into it a bit more. I need to look into it more. It was one article I read and I've not confirmed if it's true. But what Mark Zuckerberg apparently is telling people, the way he's planning to do this, it doesn't look good at all. Somebody else's behavior could cause me to lose my account. I'm like, why am I even using this? And now it's like the way the analytics work. If I post something on my Facebook page and then I share it to my personal one to share with my friends, that hurts my analytics so that Facebook won't share that post with as many other people. Now, if you share it, so I post something on Facebook, my Facebook page, and you share it, that boosts my analytics. It's just weird and all kinds of, I don't know. It feels very controlling, very like we can't just organically post. Like, that's typically what you would normally recommend. Just be organic in it and it'll usually, do okay. And it's getting to where that's not so much the case. I'm really not impressed with if that's true. And I have to put that big if, because like I said, I've not researched it. It could be somebody just misinterpreting all of the new rules or whatever they're talking about. I'll have to find out for sure. But it's like, even so, the fact is Facebook's been doing crap like this for a while and just limiting our reach. I'm like, why am I even on Facebook? I want to see stuff from some of the pages that I follow, whether it be artists, whether it be products that I'm interested in, if they have sales or something like that. I want to keep up with that. But Facebook just kills posts like that. They don't show it anymore. So I'm like, why am I even using this platform then? So yeah, I definitely want to start looking into alternatives. And I know we have, what is the one, Joseph and Nick, that we have? And I've not really posted over there. I made my account, but I've not really been posting. I need to start doing that. I think I'm going to see if that one's any good. But I've been complaining, and I think all of us have been complaining about Facebook for years, but it's definitely getting to the point. It's just constantly, I almost hit that again. It's getting worse all the time, it seems like. Let's see if I can push those up so I don't keep hitting that with my elbow. Yeah, so that was that article, and I just read it a little while ago. So like I said, I haven't had a chance to verify, but if that is true, it's like, oh, Facebook is so just done. Like, I don't know why I would bother staying. Like, if that's how you're going to run it, then there's just no benefit to me being in here. Like, I remember, and it kind of reminds me of a similar concept. I remember joining different dog forums or even groups on Facebook back when Facebook was newer. And if I wanted to share like a dog painting I did, people were like, you can't share that here. I wasn't selling anything. I was showing you guys a dog that fit with the group. It was an Italian Greyhound group. If I can't share any of my work here, then I have no reason to be in the group. And I feel like Facebook is kind of turning into that, where it's like, well, then I have no reason. If you're going to do things to that level of control of making us, you're deciding what I want to see instead of letting me decide what I want to see. That's when I start like, I don't see the point. We'll see. That was a long rant. Oh, I missed a bunch of questions. Hold on. Scrolling up. Nanner said, how are you doing? I'm good. I wonder if there's a technical reason for you to start your drawing from the background, or is it just the way you draw? Personal preference, you could really start anywhere, but one of the reasons that I like to start the background, so like in this case, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see her hair wisps. If I didn't do the background first, I'm like, I can't just I needed the background in so I could erase the wisps. It's just for the way that I work, it fits. The other thing is if I do the background first and I'm really messy and I get things over her face, or like here, I came down too far, it's no big deal because I haven't done the foreground, that'll cover that. So for me, I generally work with the background first in most cases. There are rare exceptions to that. Joseph said, reference to Prismacolor. It's not a jab if it's true. Good point. Heather said, Patreon question. This is not... Oh, no, sorry. Patterson question. This is not you, by the way. How do you leave a page that has stopped offering what page... Oh, okay, so it is Patreon. It's just, I think it's auto-correcting on you. Then offering what a patron needs. You go up, so when you log into your account, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little circle up there to your account. Click that, and then you go down to, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't see, but you should go to your account, and it'll list the patrons that you have, and you just decline, or, you can really easily cancel any pages you want. I've had to cancel one because he just stopped making content. So it's like, well, then I don't know why I'm here. Like completely stopped making content. So it was really easy to do it just through your account settings. And then I think it tells you who your patrons are, that are Patreon, your creators. I think it's under creators or something like that, who it is that you're subscribed to. And then you just follow the prompts to cancel. They may have changed it, but it'll always be that upper right-hand corner, and then drop down, just follow the menu options there. Michelle said, I got my first combo mono eraser this afternoon, and it's such a great tool. I love it. That is awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know about them. You guys are the ones who told me about it. I didn't know about them either. And then I'm like, everyone kept saying, no, you have to get this. In different videos, people were leaving comments telling me I needed to try it. And I'm thinking, it can't be that good. Oh, it is, isn't it? It's amazing. Leela said, when you're first starting out on YouTube, how many videos a week should you make? At least one. Minimum one. 2 is even better, but 1 a week. It would be better for you to make 1 really good one than 2 crappy ones, or 3 crappier ones, or 4 crappier. The more you make, the less good it's probably going to be. And I guess not all the time, but the more 1 a week is ideal. Try to get at least 1 a week up and on a schedule. Oh, that scrolled too far. Any chance I'll do a sloth painting? That would be awesome. I actually have some good reference photos that I took myself of a sloth. I should. I think that's a good idea. So yes, I am going to. Ursies, what about LinkedIn for your friends and business instead of Facebook? I don't know with LinkedIn. I've not used it enough. I technically, I guess, have an account. I don't know. I keep getting messages that someone wants me to add them, and I'm like, I don't even use this. But I don't know enough about it to know if that's going to be a fit. I don't think so, because I don't think it's like your normal social media. Oh, come on. There it goes. Your normal social media platform where you can chat and share and talk about stuff. I don't know. Lauren said, I use a lot of colored pencil layers in pencil layers, Mona Lisa OMS, and add layers after using OMS. But despite my best efforts, I can never get a smooth appearance for skin. Any advice? Which pencils are you using? Try using your wax-based pencil. So you could use Derwent drawing pencils. Those are super, super waxy, super soft. Caran-d'Ache Luminance are great. The Derwent Pro Color and the Derwent Lightfast I also find to be pretty smooth for that sort of thing. Polychromos, it's harder to get a smooth thing because they're so translucent. Good for some techniques, but I don't like it for my base layers on skin. I like it for the details on skin, but that would be my suggestion, is try using a wax-based pencil and lighter layers. You may be pushing too hard too early, or you may not even have enough pigment on there. That can be the other thing. If you're doing really light layers, because I've seen people do this, not as often as going too dark too soon, or too heavy too soon, but I've seen where people went super so light. They're like, I did 15 layers, but you couldn't see any of the layers. They were so light, so then the OMS kind of made it look blotchy. But the wax-based pencils are how I do it. And what I usually do, if you look back at some of my older colored pencil portraits, I'll make it so those first layers are over the top dark. Then I put white on top of it if it's a light colored person. Like I did a little girl who was really pale. And I put white on top and let that blend in. The colors mixed with the colors underneath. So it lightened what was there, but it smoothed it out a lot. So that worked really well. Now, if I was drawing someone with darker skin, I'm not going to do that. They'd end up looking really like chalky or ashy. So that wouldn't be a suitable fit. But that works for lighter skin. For darker skin, I would probably just use still a lighter version of what I did for my base layers, but something that's going to be more opaque if at all possible. So your wax-based pencils. Again, that would be Luminance are great. Derwent Drawing. Now, Derwent Lightfast, they say that they're oil-based, but they're actually a bit more opaque than Polychromos, and not as opaque as Luminance or the Derwent Drawing. So it's not quite as much, but they could work. So hopefully that helps. What's wrong, mouse? I have two identical mice next to each other, one for different computers, and I'm very confused. Okay. That scrolled too far. Again. Where do we go? Flower Farm says, did you use a knife to get the hair wisps? No, I did not. I used a combination of my Tombow Mono Eraser, and then I would go through in between and clean up the edges. So like if my Tombow Mono Eraser made too thick of a line, I would just take my pencils and thin that out so I didn't end up with noodle hair. Terry Mills said, could you please show the reference photo for just a sec? I don't have it on this computer. It's on my other one, and I don't have a handy way to bring that over. I apologize. I'm trying to think. If you're on Patreon, it's been uploaded there. It'll eventually be linked here, but I don't have that on this computer. I'm sorry. Elaine said, I ordered a Tombow Mono Eraser from Amazon, and they sent 10 wrapped in a bundle. What a nice bonus. Wow. Caution Artist at Play. This is gorgeous so far. Thank you. You are hitting it out of the park. I can't wait to see the finished piece. Me too. I can't wait to be finished with this piece. Randy said, I can't get my darks dark enough with my graphite drawing. I'm using Prismacolor turquoise. Well, that may be part of your problem. They tend to be scratchy. I never really got the results I wanted with those. I try switching brands halfway through the piece, or finish it with the same pencils. When you switch pencils, you're not going to be able to tell the difference as far as like this one looks different than that. That's not a problem if you want to switch pencils. But it could, like, I just never had real good luck. I was never happy with the work that I got out of my Prismacolor turquoise. I got to where I would only use them for quick sketches, but not for finished pieces. They were so scratchy. Like too hard. I didn't get the softness that I wanted. I was just never, and it wasn't an issue of like they break too much or anything like that with what we get with Prismacolor colored pencils. I just wasn't happy with the quality of, just the results I got. So that may be a good solution to go ahead and try another pencil. Okay, wait, what did I just grab? That is 3B, that'll work. So let's go ahead and start darkening this up quite a bit. But see, I'm starting to get her arm to where it's got a nice clean edge. That needs to be sharpened. And for the sharpener, I've had the electric sharpeners, but I'm back to using, like this one's the Coom sharpener. I think that one's Coom. Little metal ones, they work fine. If you have to where your pencils break, I had a sharpener. It's actually in here. I threw it out. It was one of my Faber-Castell ones, but I apparently used it too much. And the blade, when it finally went bad, it started making just regular graphite pencils, my polychromes, everything was breaking if I tried to sharpen it. I looked at the blade and there's like a notch out of it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. So when that starts happening, that's a pretty good sign. You need to switch your blades on your pencil sharpener. I think I'll come back through and define the edge a bit more later. Let's start getting onto the actual hand. I need to switch to a 2H because this is going to be really gritty. Letty said, which hours of the night do you spend at the easel? What time would you stop drawing to go to sleep? For me, I usually try to stop by, I'd say 3 or 4 a.m. So I can be asleep by 5 or 6. So I can go take my bath and get the dogs fed and, you know, all that stuff. We're all nocturnal in my house. So yeah, I would say by 3 or 4 usually. I mean, originally I was trying to be done by midnight so I could actually have some time to spend with my husband. He's also nocturnal, but it's that just didn't work out. I am too far behind on work right now. I've got about 3 or 4 times the amount of work that I normally need to get done right now. Like I feel like I'm working nonstop lately, but I've got so much stuff to do. So, yeah, I end up working usually really late. Although maybe part of why I have so much to do is because Warcraft came out, World of Warcraft, the video game that I like, came out with not an expansion, what is it? I don't know, an update, and it had new like things to do. And so I spent a couple weeks playing way more than I normally do at night instead of painting. So I got my flying for this expansion, so I'm over it now and can get back to work. So this is going to be the shadow under her hand. And again, there's so many wisps of grass that are going to go in front of that. It's kind of hard to see what's what on the reference photo because of that. So this is darker. Let's use the shading tool for that. Brandy said, I agree with you about the Prismacolor turquoise, but they were a gift, and I didn't have any other brand or time to get online to order that have the high uni Mitsubishi graphite set I want to try. I don't think I've tried those. But yeah, I mean, I had my Prismacolor. Like they weren't so bad that I wouldn't let students use them in class or anything like that. It's just that I just never got really the results I was looking for with those. Too scratchy. It's funny because the old Derwent graphics, those used to be too scratchy too. I didn't like the old ones they were okay. I didn't hate them. I liked them better than the Prismacolor turquoise, but the new ones are just as good, I'd say, as the Faber-Castell. I really like the Derwent graphics too. So we've got a bunch. Let's start defining some of the shadows with her fingers too. Where's my 2H? I just set it down. That is a hot mess of what the heck was I drawing? Let's just tone that down because that's not correct. A lot of this I'm going to be readjusting because my drawing is not super accurate in here. So I'll kind of readjust as I work. It'll look weird for a bit. She has really long nail beds. Oh my gosh. That comes way up. So many leaves are going to go in front of this. Just watch when you're doing something that has a lot of detail. Pay attention to your reference photo. Don't look at it and go, oh, I'm drawing a hand. Here we go. It doesn't work. It won't come out looking good. So look at that reference photo. Where are your lights and your darks? That's all this is. Where are your shapes and shadows, your lights and your darks? Don't look at it as I'm drawing something as much as I'm filling in shapes and shadows. Rick's Artwork said, Jerry's Artorama has an acrylic paint video. The guy said, never use water with acrylics, no matter how much. He's an idiot. He needs to educate himself. Oh, I shouldn't talk that badly about people. It's just for cleaning. Always use mediums and never use a hair dryer. Well, Golden's came out with a video, or Golden shared a video. They've done research now and showed that water is fine. You can use all the water you want. Once it's sealed, the artwork is fine. This is what I've been telling people for years. And they actually finally did studies showing that there was that lady that made a video, and it's kind of like, I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or what it is, or people were using crappy paint, crappy canvas. I don't know where it started, but they say it lessens, it's not going to bind as much. So the more water you add, the less and this is true. The more water you add, the less adhesive it is. But once you varnish it, it's fine. It's not coming off. So they say that the molecules are apart and they blah, 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 and they're going to end up flaking and chipping off. I have never once seen that happen with a painting ever. The only time I've seen paint start peeling up is because crap paint was used, or it was on super thick. The canvas was bad. Like, it was never because they used water. That wasn't the thing that causes it. So yeah, I can't believe Jerry's put that out. That's stupid, to say the least. But yeah, that's not true at all. And unfortunately, when videos like that get released, then people come to other artists. They're like, well, I heard this. And then we have to go, no, it's not true. I don't know. I guess it's frustrating because it makes more work for me when they start spreading misinformation like that. I don't like mediums, what they make my work, it makes it kind of goopy. Now, sometimes I do like lazy mediums, but for the most part, I don't. So, gosh, her nails right here, the color, the values are almost the same. Let me enlarge this a lot so I can see what's going on. Okay, I can see better now. That is not what I have drawn. This one goes this way. But yeah, no, that is absolutely not true. And I mean, the guy, it's not like he's trying to lie to you or anything. He's telling you what somebody else told him without doing research at all. So that's, and I've heard people say this that came, they learned it in colleges and stuff too. So maybe it's that the professors are teaching that, which is funny because professors in college also tell you use hairspray to seal your graphite work. Don't ever use hair products on your artwork. Like, that's not archival now. Like, you get some really bad misinformation from colleges. It's painful. So, yeah, I'm guessing that that's probably where he got it. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh, they're lying to you. I just think that they're very misinformed, which is frustrating. I mean, I guess I've been misinformed about things often enough, but still, it just drives me insane. Yeah, see, Rick's Artwork says, even on Golden's website, it says you can use a hairdryer. I've been using a hairdryer I've been painting with acrylics since, 1994? I'd say it was around 1998. I decided to do it full time. But I mean, I've been painting with acrylics for years, and I still have those paintings. I used a hairdryer. I used a ton of water. Some of it I was using crappy paint, Dick Blick brand paint. Never had a problem that they say is supposedly going to happen. And I'm like, okay, so we're talking about a very, very long time with no issues of any of that happening. They make it sound like it's, I don't know. I think it's scare tactics to get people to watch, because when you do a video where whether it's because you leave a negative review on something or you try to bash a company, which is funny because I know I don't like Prismacolor, but I don't, because I just don't like them. I'm not doing it for views. But if you can leave, and I don't do it in a way that would get me views, so there's that. But if you, I see YouTubers do this a lot, like with makeup brands and different things. If they can leave bad reviews, bad anything like that, or like do a scare tactic, never use this or this is going to happen, you get views. People pay attention. They share that content. I don't know. I'm not saying that's for sure what they're doing, but I've known of YouTubers who did this. You watch them do this stuff, and it's like, not because it's accurate or true, but because that scare tactic sure gets those views. It sounds scary. People are like wanting to make sure they're not making, I mean, even I did that, like the number one top mistake or color pencils or whatever. People are going to click on it because they're like, oh, am I making that mistake? So the problem is that some people will just make stuff up so that they can have something that's like drama-filled or controversial or whatever. I don't know. Drives me crazy. I'm on a roll with rants tonight. Let's see. Lauren, do you have any tips to keep interest on big drawings? Art isn't my job. To keep interest. maybe work smaller than, I mean, if you're having a hard time keeping the interest on a big drawing and it's not your job, so you are working a normal, you know, I'm guessing full-time job, you may want to work smaller. Do smaller studies. Instead of doing this much, just do her face. Maybe just do, you know, do something smaller, maybe a good way to go. For me, though, to keep the interest going, I set up those little mini goals. Like my goal is to do this tonight. My goal is to do the lace tonight. That's all I care about. My goal is, you know, different sections, little goals. And that way I feel like I finished something instead of looking at it as I don't feel like I completed anything until the whole piece is done. This way I get this false sense of I finished her hair. Well, mostly. It's, you know, mostly done. I've finished something. I'm not going to get the whole piece done in that amount of time. And so I feel like that helps me feel like I'm moving forward. And I don't know, I play mind games with myself. I also listen to audiobooks. Love listening to stories while I work. It definitely helps me to focus more. I went on a Criminal Minds binge recently, Netflix. I just put it on my phone on my easel and had it playing while I worked. That helped. If I sit in like a quiet room, I'm going to get bored and start wandering around and like, I see I do see spider webs, actually. I should take care of that. But I'd be like, I see a spider web. I'm going to go clean that right now instead of the thing I need to do. So those are what I do. Try Tombow Mono Eraser. Refill in the clutch pencil. It holds eraser tighter than the T and body does and gives better control. You know, I don't know though. Maybe I'll have to listen to you, but I've never had, what is the clutch pencil? I've never had a problem with this one. It doesn't like mine. Maybe I'm just lucky on this one, but I've never felt like I didn't have the control I needed on that. So I don't know, unless it twists. I don't know. I'm not actually entirely sure what you're talking about because I don't know what a clutch pencil is. I should look into that. Let's see. Whoops. Terry Mill says, just FYI, I sometimes like a sharper point on the Tombow Mono Eraser and have found and it stopped. This sounded like good information. It's a cliffhanger. Wait, scroll down. Works very well. Okay. Found that the works very well. That doesn't, no, wait. Found that it's not all highlighted. I can't find my place. Found that the blue double comb sharpener that has the 2 lead point sharpeners on both sides, the red one actually works well. You just have to remove the eraser from the Tombow holder and hold it to sharpen. You could also, I would think it'd be easier just to use an X-Acto knife to make it sharper. That's what I would do. But yeah, you can definitely, like any eraser, you can like trim down and make them sharper. So that's a good tip. PC Cherokee, did you stop doing commissions because you started making more money in other ways from your art, or did you always make money in other ways? I want to make money, but I hate commissions. Yeah, I'm with you on the commissions thing. I mean, it's not that I always hated them, but with a commission, there's too much back and forth, and this is why I stopped. Because it wasn't like for me to get artwork done, I have to just okay, tonight's the night I have to start a new one. I don't have time to contact the buyer. Okay, what about this background? What about this? Do you like this or do you like this? What do you want with this? You know, that back and forth. I just don't have time for. I just need to jump in, start working on something. And so that's why I stopped doing commissions, but I don't miss them, that's for sure. For the most part, almost everyone I've ever done a commission for was amazing to work with. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh my gosh, I have all these horrible stories. But what's going on here? Oh, that's part of her finger here. She's got a fairly large knuckle. It's okay, lady. I understand. Mine are kind of that way too. But yeah, I don't miss it. I'm not saying I will never take commissions. I've got a few people who've been trying to get me to do stuff, like they had me do stuff in the past for them, and so they want me to do their new dog or whatever, and I may do that, but for the most part, I just don't have time. Like there was one lady, real nice lady, and I feel bad because I know I was being the flake in this. She lost her horse, and so she wanted me to draw a previous person that I had painted their horse. She wanted me to, or she gave her my contact info, and so she wanted me to do it. I started talking to her like last December-ish, right around there. And it just, maybe before that, it was just one of those. And I told her it's not going to be anytime soon. I've got too many other things I had to get done because I don't take commissions anymore. But the back and forth, and then normally when I took commissions, I would be on top of it, where if somebody didn't get back to me right away, I would email them, to ask again the information I needed. I don't have time to do that anymore. So with her, you'd have weeks in between me responding, or like she didn't give me the information I needed and then I forgot to email back. It it did not make me look good. Let's go with that. I looked like the biggest flake in the history of flakes. I don't have time to do commissions right and provide the kind of customer service somebody deserves when they hire someone to do a commission. And so that was why I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. And even with her, she finally just stopped contacting me. I don't blame her. But like I said, I didn't really have time. That is not that curved. I just didn't have time to do that. There's so much customer service involved in that side of things. And yeah. Okay. So only 3 fingers and a little bit of one back there show. And okay, big knuckle. Come on. We got to draw that in. I'm not judging you. I understand. But seriously, you need your big knuckles. Okay. Heather said, my teacher told us to use hairspray to seal art until I had a severe asthma attack and it was a doctor who told her it wasn't good for anything, especially not artwork. Yeah. It yellows. Like, why would you spray something that isn't archival on your artwork? And I think some people are like, well, I used to spray it back in the 60s and it still hasn't yellowed. Okay, but hairspray, there's no guarantee it's the same. Well, we know it's not the same formula now as it was back then. And the company's not marketing it or advertising it or verifying that it's not going to start to yellow. Like, why would you even? And it amazes me how many teachers tell you that. Rick's Artwork said it was a video called The Top Mistakes Colored Pencil or Top Mistakes Acrylic Painters Make. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. And then see, those videos do well. I try to mind that way too, because you do need people to watch them. So you've got to write stuff like that. But yeah, that is frustrating when the information is very, very inaccurate. And there's always things where you would just not agree on certain concepts. But what they're telling you is absolute bull. It is complete. This isn't an opinion. It's wrong. It is not factual, but they're presenting it as fact. And that's what bothers me. So, I have opinions that other people are going to disagree with left and right all day. That's fine. And being wrong on, or, not having the same opinion I do is one thing. But when you're actually spreading complete misinformation, that's where you're really irritated. Let's see. Brent says, I have tickets to the Paul, I don't know, exhibit here in St. Louis Art Museum, taking my students and guest. So excited. Are you a fan of, apparently not, because I don't know how to say his name. I don't know who it is. I sound like an idiot. Because that's new. Blue Tea Art says, how do you sharpen the Faber-Castell eraser pencil? I tried the mechanical sharpener and comb sharpener, but all of them never work. So if you're talking about these ones, where's the new one? Well, I guess I can sharpen this one. It's the same. It's just a different color. I'm just going to hold that in there, and I'm going to twist. This twists towards me where I slowly twist the pencil away. I'm not just going to twist this. It has a tendency to break. I want to twist the sharpener a bit more, and I'm going to go slowly. See, I'm twisting both. And I'm putting a fair amount of pressure. Like I'm kind of pushing that eraser up against the blade a little bit. Like I'm not doing it as loose and flimsy as I would a normal pencil. So that's how I sharpen those. But I'm doing both. This one turns towards me. The pencil turns away from me. So I'm slowly going this way. And that's a good habit anyway for sharpening pencils. Like Prismacolor, if they break a lot on you, sometimes turning the pencil or the sharpener towards you may help. Or not, because they're just made badly now. But, let's see. Caution artists at play. Your question just flew by me. There we go. I had a professor tell the class that painting the edges of a stretched canvas to match is so unprofessional and to wrap them in duct tape instead. I was like, what? Not archival at all. I swear sometimes people try to come up with crap just to be different, not because it's good advice. That is terrifying. But like I said, the amount of misinformation, that person probably heard it from another teacher too. Like these colleges, some of the stuff they teach people, I'm just going, oh my God. Also, if you can hit the like button for me, it helps so much for YouTube. They'll end up sharing it with more people and more people get to find the videos. And then I make a little bit more money. So I can actually afford to buy even more art supplies or just beg Faber-Castell to send me more. It's funny. The Faber-Castell video products that I got, a lot of people are like, I want free products too. They aren't free. I'm doing 18 videos in trade for those. So they're definitely not free. I'm actually working on a bird and colored pencil with those that I'm super having fun with. And it's coming out really good, but I can't share it with you guys right now. He's cute though. Let's see. Thanks, Xerxes. PZ Cherokee said, second part of my question. Scroll too far. There it goes. What is the best way to make money from your art in your opinion? For me, for consistency, teaching. But you have to keep in mind, I love teaching. So it may be different for somebody who doesn't like teaching. Maybe that's not going to be a fit for them. But I love, love, love teaching. Like, that's not something I ever don't want to do. It was never something like, oh, once I'm making enough selling my artwork, I'm going to stop teaching. I love teaching. So that may be a little bit different for me than somebody else. But you can start with eBay. You can start with eBay. I did better with than Etsy. So I liked eBay. You can advertise on Facebook, but with the changes Facebook's making, good luck selling anything on Facebook. I used to be able to sell things on Facebook. There's no way I could do it. Like, they don't share it with anybody. They're like, oh, you have 30,000 subscribers. We're going to share it with 10 people because we know that you're trying to make money and you didn't pay us to make that money. So even though they put ads on the thing that they're making money off me posting, I have problems with their business model. I have a lot of problems with Facebook right now. But eBay is a good way to start. So that is good. And I actually built a fair amount, not fair, I wasn't like a ton of people, but I had people that would come back to me and buy stuff off my website or through Facebook because they found me on eBay. So, you know, you can use that as a part of your marketing strategy. If you can find a local gallery, when I was doing small galleries, because I was not known, that I actually was making okay, you know, not a ton of money. I might sell something for $125. They weren't expensive paintings, but I sold a few of them. I mean, in the beginning, that was a good start. So that may be, this is not her finger. This is just a shadow. That may be a good way. If you can find a small, like, you're not looking for the type of gallery that has big, big artists. They're not going to take you when you're new and unknown, even if you're amazing. It's okay. I would still try. But don't be discouraged if they don't take you. It doesn't mean you're not good. But try some of these newer, there are a lot of galleries that really do focus around young, unknown artists. And that's really what you want to find. Or, I mean, not young art. You don't have to be young. You just have to be new and unknown, I guess is a better way to put it. Did I freehand draw this picture? Oh, God, no. I don't have time for that. I could, and you wouldn't know the difference. But on this one, no, I did not. I needed to get started quickly, and that would have taken me, to get this drawn perfectly would have taken me, I'd say 10 hours or so. I just didn't have the time to put into it. So I typically don't tell people when I freehand versus when I trace, because you will never know the difference. You can't tell because I can freehand just fine. But using the tracing method, it just saves time for someone like me. So, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not as good. Well, if you can't freehand it, it shows in the end result whether you traced it or not. Because like here, I'm having to freehand out all the hand because I didn't draw it in right to begin with. So, but no, on this one, the time that it would have taken, the spots alone would have been, because I would have had to sit there with a ruler and measure. That doesn't sound like fun to me. Thanks, Melissa. Vladimir, oh wait, I have a question from John. It's not highlighted. If you guys, you want to do at Lachri Fine Art, if it doesn't highlight in orange, I won't see your question normally, but I do see this as one. Is it any recommended brands to look at for pencils, and do I recommend a mechanical? I'm loving mechanical right now. The one that I'm in love with at the current moment is the, if you can see it, Faber-Castell Super Polymer leads in the 2B. I'm really happy with that lead. For the pencils, my two favorite brands of pencils are the Faber-Castell, their 9000 series, and the Derwent Graphics in the new tin. Which, hold on, let me get it so you can see what the new tin looks like. Don't get the old tin. I do not like the old ones as much. These ones are super, super nice. So this is the other one that I use. But these or the Faber-Castell are my two favorite brands of pencils. But yeah, I love mechanical pencils. Clutch pencil is another name for a lead holder. Used one on the 2mm lead. Really? Okay, I have to look into this. You've got my interest peaked. That went too far. Vladimir said, I know you said college in America is a problem. Do you think it's better to study abroad like Mexico or maybe Spain? I have dual citizenship, so I might consider Mexico. Thoughts? I honestly don't know. I don't know how the colleges are in other areas. And I'm not saying every college teacher and all that is bad. It's just I see a lot of crap, not the best experience. Although then you'll sometimes come across an artist who had a great experience with art in college, and then they're in super far debt. So I'm not still kind of like, oh, was that a good idea? But so I can't say that it's all, and I don't know what the difference in Spain versus whatever that would be. I would just go ahead and do research on your own. I'm not the person to ask. I just don't know, but definitely research, because maybe they have the most amazing teachers in the history of teachers over there. I don't know. And it may just depend even here with colleges, which teacher you happen to get. So you want to research who you're taking those courses from before just signing up because it's an art class. Have I ever tried Tombow pencils? If so, did I like them? I haven't used them enough to have a full opinion. The only ones that I have are ones that came with my Smart Art box. They seemed fine, but I've not tried a full project where I can really give much, like a definite yes or no. Okay, back to drawing her hands. So I've got, what pencil I'm on? 2H, that'll work. So she's got her little wrinkles in here, and I want to get different shapes in the knuckle. So it's not, when you do wrinkles on people, one of the things that people have a tendency to do wrong is draw lines for the wrinkles. That doesn't look right. They're shapes and shadows, thicker and then thinner, and they move. You know, really look at that reference photo. What are you seeing in that photo? Because it's not just lines. If you just do lines, it looks very cartoony. And right now, I still have to come back through and shade all of this. I'm just building up, approximately kind of mapping out where things are going to go. So one of the things that I have a tendency to do when I draw portraits is I don't really get a lot of texture in the skin. And on this one, I'm going to actually take the time and put that in there so it's not super, super smooth. This looks darker on your guys, what you're seeing, or at least on my computer monitor, it looks darker than what I'm seeing. I'm going to actually switch to the 4H for some of these lighter ones. Oh yeah, that's a way better choice. Now, I can't just leave this right now. Let's see how things are two-tone. I have my darker area, my lighter area. I'm also going to come through with an eraser, lighten certain areas up a bit, not erase it back to white, but I will go back and forth. I want lots of values in here. I'm not just looking for two tones, light and dark. Otherwise, it's kind of like a stamp. I don't want that. I want shading. I want variation in those values. Why I keep going up and working up here, I'm using this to map out approximately, like this comes here. Her knuckle actually needs to be back here more, if this is accurate, which I think it is. I'm going to erase these and move that knuckle back. So her knuckle is actually over here, and then that long, long finger. And so this comes down a bit. So what I'm doing, I'm checking my work against itself. When you're freehanding like this, you want to, like, okay, I know what this is on my reference photo up here. And if this is accurate, which that part I know is, that part I traced, I can use this to figure out where that knuckle comes up. So I'm checking my work against itself, and I'll do that when I get into her face where things need to be accurate. Now, with her hair, it wasn't as big of a deal. When I start doing the hands and especially the face, I'm going to line things up. Like, okay, if the edge of her nose comes here, that's where her eyebrow. If I went straight over her eyebrows, you know, you can check your work against other areas that you know were done accurately to make sure that everything is where it should be. Hi, Louise. Thank you. I'm pretty happy with the hair. It looks more like noodles on here than it does on here, but I'm really excited with how that came out. Thank you very much. Patty Picasso says, one way to make money, or to try to make money, is to follow, subscribe to art festivals. They always have call-out submissions. Even if you aren't successful, they usually is a fringe festival at the same time. That's a good idea. Festivals. Now, the festivals that I didn't make, or like art festivals and art shows like that, I never really made a whole lot. Even like Aquashella, and that was a very specific audience. And I made like, I think it was like $500 or something like that on prints, but I spent like $2,000 on all the stuff I needed. So it was not profitable. But I mean, I have leftovers that I can use for the next Aquashella. So it was worth me doing. But I made connections there that helped. It was still super worth doing for me. But I never like made a ton of money at most of the art shows and art festivals that I did. If I could break even, it was a good day for me for how much I put into some of the stuff that I did. But I liked when too, sometimes cities, if you got a local city, see if they've got any kind of art guild or art thing going on. If you can get involved in one of those, or local, like when I was in the Inland Empire Art Association, I think it was called, that one in Southern California, that was good because they'd have their own shows, and I sold one of my most expensive paintings through that show. So, which is funny, I never won awards, but my painting sold for more than anyone else's. So I guess that was more value than the 50-cent ribbon, but at that show anyway. But that is another thing too. See if you've got any art guilds. Like, don't just look at your city, look at your surrounding cities. So like here, Frisco, Texas, they have a really cool art system. Luckily, I'm moving to a city right next to it, so I'll be close. But they do a lot of stuff with arts and artists. So when they have art guilds and art meetings, you could go there, even if you live in a city, you know, that's not super close. So look into that too. Lauren said, my art teacher used to take our drawings without telling us and spray them with hairspray. Ouch. Now all my drawings are yellow, and it's sad because I actually like those pieces. Oh, that's frustrating. I just don't understand how an art teacher can be so uneducated about something like that. Alaise said, what social media platform did you find the most helpful for sharing your work and finding interest from others? YouTube, by far YouTube. But next to that, it used to be Facebook, but not really anymore. Facebook's making it really hard to connect to your viewers or fans or people who like your stuff. So Facebook, not as much. They used to be great. So we're kind of at a weird stage where we've got to figure out what is going to be the next good way to do it. So YouTube, I would still say, is the best. You can do Instagram, but it's the same thing. They're getting, I mean, it's owned by Facebook, but they're getting a lot of these social media platforms have gotten so big. They want more money, even though they're making money off the advertisements that they put on your content, which I'm fine with advertisements, but it's weird because they're like, why are you doing it both ways? I mean, you've got YouTube, they pay you to have content. So I'm not sure what the answer is going to be there, but, and I'm not sure what the answer is now. I mean, when I first started with Facebook, it was great. Facebook was wonderful for me when I got started, but it's not anymore. So, and it's funny, Facebook is less useful to me now, even though like when I started and I had, you know, let's say I had 300 followers, I would reach more people then than I do now with 30,000 or something like that. I don't even know. I don't pay attention anymore because Facebook's just freaking killing everything right now. So yeah, I don't know right now what the best one to go. No, and as much as I'm not happy with Facebook, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying it's not what it used to be. So I'm not sure what the best way for getting the sales. It may be eBay again, or, you know, reaching people. But I would say YouTube is probably the best way to go for sure. YouTube has made the biggest difference for me. Even, I mean, it's even bigger than what Facebook used to be. Way more like you get to connect with people better. They get to learn who you are. And it's easier, I think, to make a sale when people they see you on YouTube. They realize you're a real person. You're not just a scammer posting a painting for sale. So that, I think, made it a bit easier for me to make sales too. Starving Artist Collective said, I did art shows for 5 years. Not many sales on the spot, but usually quite a bit of follow-up activity. Yeah, and if you do that right, so that's a good thing to bring up. So when you do these art shows, don't focus just on the right now. Focus on, do you have a good business card that someone's going to keep with the information that they need on it? Maybe it's a postcard. Maybe it's a flyer, or not a flyer, but like what do they call them? The long skinny ones, my brain shut down. But maybe, you know, something like that, a handout or something that you're giving them to get that follow-up. Collect email addresses. Add people to your email list. That sort of thing, if you do that right, those art shows, even if you don't make much then, can be wonderful for your business. Okay. Back to the little detail. Now, this goes way, way faster when I'm not live streaming, obviously. What I've done right now would have taken 20 minutes max. But it is... Okay, let's see. This curves up a little. It is time-consuming either way. So that's going to be dark. This whole thing is dark in here. I'm going to go ahead and block that in so I can use it. It looks weird because it's like, why is there this weird thing sticking out of her finger? But it helps me to keep mapping out what goes where in this drawing. Pamphlet. Now there's another. It's a Rack card. That's what, at least when I order them from Vistaprint, that's what they call them, rack cards. That's the word I'm thinking of. But yeah, pamphlet, anything like that, like a trifold. There was one, and I can't even imagine how much she would have paid, especially back then, because it was very expensive back in the early 2000s to have prints done. This one artist, and their work was phenomenal. So I'm guessing they probably got a lot of sales to make up for having these prints. But it was like a trifold thing with the artist bio. It had samples of the work. I mean, it was amazing. And so that I could see getting a lot of follow-ups, because usually when people go to those art fairs and stuff, they're not bringing hundreds or thousands of dollars to spend on a painting. But if you can get them to contact you later, that can work for you. Rick's Artwork said, I think part of Facebook's issue is they are grasping at straws to figure out how to stay relevant. The young kids don't use it, so they're trying to figure out what to do. You are absolutely right. I think that is too. And it's funny because it's like, maybe make it back what it was when everyone liked it. But they're getting too greedy, I think, on some of it, to where people, like, okay, let's say a dog rescue, so like a greyhound rescue. Their content gets filtered too. They can't afford to pay for advertisements to advertise greyhounds that are available for adoption. So it's frustrating to me. Okay, let's see. That one is there. So this one is about here and here. Good job. That's a smaller knuckle. This finger looks way too thin right now. Let's see how that comes as I keep shading what's under. Yeah, Nick says that for Facebook's problem, well, being able to reach your followers might be an answer. So true. And it's not just me complaining as a content creator. I'm also complaining as a user who just wants to see the stuff I want to see on Facebook, but they filtered it all out. I don't see stuff. The amount of pages I have liked, like Nature's Nate Honey. I used to follow them. I don't see anything from them at all, ever. I haven't seen anything from them in years. There were a few like gluten-free or low-carb items like fruit bars and different things that I wanted to know when they had sales. I don't see anything from them anymore. Unless you're commenting regularly on a page, you're not going to see stuff from them. So now that I know that, when it's a page I want, I try to hit like as much as possible on those comment or posts, so I'm more likely to see their future stuff. But Facebook isn't what I want now. It's just people that are badly behaved children, essentially, freaking out about things, and the politics. I think that's really what just killed Facebook, because what are most people posting? Political crap lately. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see the sales for the honey or sales, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know, for how smart the people who run that are supposed to be. They're really dumb. But yeah, I think tonight I'll probably look into the one that we use. What is it, if Joseph or Nick, that we have? I think it's in the description. Didn't I put it? Or maybe I forgot to update that. Hold on. Let me see. It was for our group. We made a non-Facebook group since we lost Google, because a lot of people won't use Facebook. And I haven't really had a chance to play with it. It's not even on here. Okay, I'll fix that. Oh, look, I've got a schedule that I don't even keep with anymore. Yeah, I copied and pasted this from something old. None of this stuff on the bottom. Okay, anyway, sorry. That's not even the webcam it's the webcam I'm using on my face. But yeah, that is, I'll have to look up who that is. But yeah, even like Alay said, I've been using Instagram more than anything at the moment. Putting my time-lapse footings and paintings on YouTube, so it's hard. But yeah, Instagram, though, they're owned by Facebook. They're going the same route with filtering content. So I used to see every single thing my friends posted. Now they decide what I want to see. What? If I don't want to see the things from my friends, I just unfollow them. Like, why? Why are you? But every other post is an ad. Well, like every 3 or 4 posts are an ad, but it's like, oh my gosh, it drives me crazy. And Michelle said, I completely agree. Left Facebook a couple months ago and won't ever use it again. Yeah, it sucks because we've got our art group there, which I love, but I don't know what the alternative is now. Wow, her hand looks terrible on that because the angle that you guys are at, it's skewing it and making it look mush. That is a weird looking mountain hand. It looks more like a mountain than anything else. Yeah, Rick said, it would be nice if DeviantArt was better and grew into a better social experience as well. Although it is just for artists and art lovers. Yeah, it's just harder to find buyers because most buyers, like I might on Facebook have a friend of my mom, of a sister, of a, you know, you could go down that trail, who ends up seeing my artwork and buys it, who would never be on DeviantArt. So that's where, like, going to be an issue with, which pencil am I on? Yeah, 2H. That's going to be a bit of an issue when it comes to a website that's just artists like that. It's going to be a lot harder to get those sales, or to get the random person who is just like, wow, that's a really cool painting. I'd love to have that in my house. That isn't necessarily looking for painting. You're getting like that off sale from somebody who, like I said, wasn't searching. Where did there it is. Discord server. You know what? You are right, Fem. I think I'm going to go ahead and set that. I can set it up through Patreon, so it'll probably just be a Patreon thing. But I think that it's included. I don't know if I have to pay extra for it. But yeah, I mean, Patreon may, or I'll look into that and see if that's going to be a good way for us to go. See, and I have to wonder, though, how well Discord would work, because that's something that typically younger, usually gamers, are using. So I'm not sure if that would really relate well to older generations. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think Discord's going to get sales. It would be a fun place for us to all chat for sure. But I don't see that being a you know, where Facebook, we used to be able to get sales through Facebook, which now not really. A little bit. I don't want to say it's not worth posting at all. I've been advertising my prints a bit more lately, both in videos, on Facebook, and in my newsletter. And I have gotten a few more sales than I typically get. So something's helping. I don't know if the Facebook ones are doing much. Yeah, I think it feels like we're at a bit of a stage where we kind of have to start looking at what those alternatives are going to be. I mean, anytime you get into social media or just marketing in general, times change. We need to figure out how to follow along with it and how to, like, compensate. So as much as I'm like, oh, I don't like Facebook. Okay, so let's figure out what the alternatives are. I don't have the answer right now, but it's something that we should all be kind of looking for and seeing what is going to work. I still really like YouTube. I still think YouTube is such a good place for artists to grow. But most of what you're going to grow with on YouTube are going to be tutorials. And maybe if you're not interested in tutorials, just looking for getting sales, I'm not sure how much that will help. MeWe. Thank you, Heather. Yes, MeWe. I'm writing that down because I'm going to forget again. I have an account. I just haven't been using it. Okay, tonight I'm spending some time on MeWe. So, and that's where we've got an art group over there that I apparently don't have a link to, that I need to fix that. But yeah. Nick says, hey, speaking of homie, I harvested 60 pounds of it today. Holy crap, of honey. Wow, Nick. I want photos. I need photos, by the way, of references of bees and honey. And your camera is the same as mine, so I know you can make this happen. Look at me asking for freebies. Let's see. Fem said, looking forward to the sea turtle reference photos. I find ones on Pixabay are pretty blah. I don't want to say mine are the most amazing ever, but it's different because you only have a few photos that are usable that I found on Pixabay. So it gives us something different. The turtles that I have, the turtles that are at the place that I went to, it's called Sea Life, and they're injured. So they're not like, we went and took a fish out of the sea and threw it in a tank. They're turtles that were injured and that could not survive in the wild anymore. And they'll rehabilitate the ones they can, but the ones that I got photos of, like one's huge. He eats a lot. But at certain angles, it's just so beautiful. So I got a super close-up. A close-up, I have never seen a photo, or not one that I could use legally anyway, of a sea turtle. The detail around the eyes, I'm so excited. Like, you can see the pupil. So I'm really excited about that one. I'll get that for you guys soon. Ellie said, or Twitch. I know of artists live streaming, etc. from there, but I understand, Lisa, what you're saying about people not being on Deviant, where the Facebook and even Insta people already have it. And see, that's the same thing with Twitch is going to be the same thing. Older people don't typically, I'm just going statistic. There are always exceptions. But statistically, more, like, older people aren't going to Twitch because Twitch is typically for gamers. I mean, that's traditionally been, maybe it'll change, but that's kind of like what most people see it as. So I don't know how that'll really go as far as Twitch. Let's see. Starving Artist said, my son uses Discord for his gaming friends, so not for me, but Nick says, we just had a look. Looks nicer. Yeah, and I think Discord would be more, let's just chat about art, or, I guess if people had questions, but then I don't have time to answer questions. So it'd be like you guys answering your own questions. So it might just be a fun chat for artists. I doubt it would be too full of people. We'll try. I'm going to look into it and see if it's useful. I'm not going to say it's something I'll keep up going forever. I think it's worth giving a try, though. and I'll test it on patrons. Let's see. Yeah, MIUI I'll be playing with tonight for sure. That's definitely going to. My undershirt is like rolling up on me. That's annoying. Okay. Leela said, going off your last point, do you think YouTube is a good place for new artists to start out on? Absolutely. A lot of people like to say that YouTube is like, oh, my shoe fell off. I'll just kick the other one off too. A lot of people say that YouTube is like, you can't grow on it. You can't get new followers. You can't do all these things anymore. That's just definitely not true. You absolutely can grow. And YouTube's really big on pushing newer content too, more than it used to be. I think it used to be like when I started in 2012, 2013, 2014, during those years, it was way harder to grow than it is now. Now we have channels out there like Tim Schmoyer, video creators. You have channels out there that are set up to help you or help artists learn how to grow a channel. That wasn't there when I started. So that's a huge reason it's easier to grow now too. But YouTube is more likely to share anything. Definitely. I still think it's good to get started. Donna said, I'm a big fan of reference photos from rescue animals as opposed to zoo animals. You know, the thing, I'm not anti-zoo. Well, I'm not anti-all zoo. I think that needs to be a big point. Good zoos, do a lot to help with conservation, to help rehabilitate animals, to help with breeding programs. That's the kind of but I do know that there are facilities out there that are just for straight making money and they don't do anything to help. But like the zoos in my area, Fort Worth Zoo, that's the one they normally go to, they do so much to help conservation, to help animals. And if it isn't for the income they make from letting people come and view the animals in their habitats, and the habitats at Fort Worth, most of them are amazing. They keep upgrading all of them. They're amazing. But like the giraffes have such an amazing, so much space. It's so cool. But they do so much because of the money that they make on keeping the zoo going and donations, mostly donations. They are able to help other wildlife that does need to be rehabilitated, and they are able to do a lot more. So I'm definitely not an anti-zoo person, or not. I'll say I'm not a clear cut anti all zoos. I know there are crap zoos out there that are just keeping these animals in teeny tiny cages, and they're not doing the conservation that the Fort Worth Zoo is. So, or I think Dallas Zoo does stuff too. So those are, to me, it just depends, I guess. But because of having a zoo and being able to make the money, they're able to do just impact and do so much to help other animals. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Where am I? Rick said, remember Vero? Yes, I think, and every once in a while I still get, was it Vero? I still get a notification someone followed me on Vero. I posted once on that one. Yeah, nobody does. Another social media experience that was supposed to change everything. I even signed up right away and it never took off. Yeah, it was always a beta, and then things wouldn't work. If you wanted to post, you couldn't get on, and it was it never worked right that I saw. And and maybe it eventually did, but I gave up because it's well, I don't have time to wait for your service to do what it's supposed to do. Do a little bit more shading in here. But yeah, I must have the Vero app still because I do occasionally get notifications somebody liked your post. Huh. Whoops. Joseph said, I have to disagree. Tim's advice, for the most part, is geared towards vloggers. Not much translates to art channels. I think okay. To be fair, I have not watched him in a while. I just haven't been watching YouTube in a while. But what I was watching was just generalized, just good advice as far as how often you post, what type of content does well, that sort of thing I found to be really helpful. I, again, have not watched in way too long, so I'm not sure. But I learned a lot in the early years. It's been a few years from Tim Schmoyer. So yeah, maybe it's different now. But you have to think about how can you apply what works for vloggers? How can you apply that to art? I mean, there are artists out there who will basically copy the template of a beauty channel and turn it into an art thing. You almost copy the same headline and everything, and it works. So you can apply it. You just kind of have to figure out how to apply it. I definitely don't do that. But you can. But yeah, it was the older stuff that I watched more. I have not watched anything new in a really, really long time. So I'm not sure, if the channel's the same or if it's so different that it's not useful. I don't know. You've probably watched more recently than I have. I think my neighbors are canning again. I still like. I'm one of these days when I catch them outside. I'm gonna have to ask them like, what is that noise? Like it's the weirdest sound. It just drives me crazy wondering what it is. Like it's not annoying for the most part. I just don't know what it is, and I'm nosy. And he's a really nice neighbor, so he'd probably tell me. Sharpen that pencil. I just keep a little cup here. Look how dirty that is. It used to be, well, I bought it for this, but it was a toothbrush holder. It works. It's just kind of a handy. I like it because it's heavy enough. Like I used to have lighter weight things that I would put the sharpener or pencil shavings in. They would fall over all the time and I'd have shavings all over. By the end of the stream, I'll probably do that too with this one. But I normally don't have a problem. Like I haven't had problems with this one. It's worked out well for just keeping on my easel right here. Thick Miss said, can I have some chicken? I can't bring chicken out because I need to do his nails. He really needs a nail trim tonight. He will stick to this shirt. I was thinking about that when I was getting dressed down. Like, I can't hold chicken in this shirt. I need to do his nails first. He's getting stuck constantly. So tonight is trim chicken nails night. So I can't bring him out tonight. All right, have to go change my clothes and then it's a whole thing and no. But I'll probably still be working on this next week, so his nails will be definitely trimmed by then. Well, I'm going to trim them tonight, but... See, I just slowly build up those values. Don't just jump to, it's got to be dark, so I'm going to make everything dark. I'm going to build up slowly, and it just gives me a lot more control to make adjustments, like the fact that my drawing was not accurate to start with. So I'm coming back through, and I can fix stuff because I didn't go too dark too early, without having any negative result, or, it's not affecting me negatively. But if I went too dark too early, I can't make those adjustments. I also wonder if it's a video game on the other side. Like if he's got his TV there, like a car racing, maybe that's, I don't know. Shannon said, what do you think of Etsy then? Is it worthwhile to try and sell there? I like YouTube as a platform, but I'm not going to be doing video tutorials. Etsy can work, but it's kind of like Fine Art America or one of these other websites like Patreon, what I was talking about earlier, where you have to send people there to make it work. Like Jenna Warnke, she makes the keys. I don't think you can see any here. I've got some back here. I need to show you some more of I need to do a tour of all the stuff I have from her. But she makes these winged keys, and I got the cute little love bug guy. It's a handmade doll thing. She makes stuff, and it does wonderfully on Etsy. But she sells out in like the first hour because she makes a big deal about it on Instagram. And as soon as she puts her shop live, where she uploads a bunch of stuff at the same time, it all sells right away. So she is one of the only success stories I know personally anyway. She does great because she sends people there. The problem that I have with Etsy. So, okay, eBay, the way that their thing works, you have a bunch of listings for Italian Greyhounds. Let's say a bunch of Italian Greyhound prints. And everything has Italian Greyhound and graphite, Italian Greyhound artwork, whatever. The older the listing is, it gets boosted to the top. So new listings go to the bottom of the list. So when people are looking, they see the stuff that's going to end soonest. Etsy does the opposite. So with Etsy, the newest stuff comes up first. The problem with that is you have people, a lot of the Chinese crap that they sell on Etsy that is not handmade stuff. It shouldn't be on Etsy. You have people who will, they'll list and every day relist that listing. That gets expensive if they're not selling. And the only way to stay at the top of the list, you've got to be the new listing. So every day you're relisting, it's too expensive. It's not practical. And because Etsy is, eBay is full of a lot of the Chinese crap too, but it's not, I'm not saying everything made in China is crap. I'm just talking about the actual crap that's from China. Make that make sense. But you have it in both, but because of the way that they make the listing, it is very hard to be competitive on Etsy if you're not sending people there on your own. Like with artwork, I was seeing a lot of that mass-produced stuff. They're saying it's an original. It's like, it's an original that is mass-produced. Gotcha. So you're getting lost in that crowd. In order to stay at the top of that list and to be have your stuff be easier to be found on Etsy, you've got to list more regularly. So with Etsy, you could put a listing up there, and I don't remember, it may have changed, but back it used to be stay up for like a month or like a long time. That listing would stay live for a very long time. But the older the listing is, the farther it falls back on that list instead of coming up sooner. So I just did not like the way that it was too hard to be found. I stopped listing on there. I may have sold a couple, I don't remember, but most of like when I used to sell prints and stuff, that was all on eBay for the most part. eBay did way better and had it was less as far as how many fees I had to pay to list. So I'm just, unless you're selling people to Etsy, like you can have an Etsy store that you only pay the once, to upload the thing, and you're not worrying about coming up on that list because you're sending people to the store. Now in that case, Etsy's better. So I guess it depends on how you're using it. I'm not saying Etsy is always terrible, but as far as like being found, discoverability on Etsy is very, very difficult. It way works better if you're sending people there. Where eBay, I found it to be easier to be found by random people who don't know who I am on eBay. That was a lot of words. Good luck deciphering that. There is a big, I'm going to put it here and it's not going to make sense yet. This is going to be a leaf coming across her finger, but it's going to help me just to kind of keep track of what's going where. So not how you draw a finger. That's just a leaf. Now watch nails too. With nails, unless the nails are painted, they're not one solid color. And even if they're painted, you're going to have highlights and such. And on mine, they're going to be a hot mess of all kinds of crap. But you're going to have, that there's like the lighter area up here, gets a little darker. Then we've got the edge here of the actual nail that extends. It's lighter, that extends past her finger. Watch the construction of little details like that. These are things you want to start getting yourself used to noticing, all these little things. And if you're first getting started and you're like, I don't see what you're seeing, I don't even know how you notice these things right away, it'll get easier with time. You will start noticing more with time. This whole line is going to come down a bit further here. So we can go ahead and start mapping out. And I just kind of am working on everything at once. This is, when I do hands, I don't typically do the 1 square inch at a time, like or a little section at a time like I do with the rest of hair and stuff. I tend to just jump all over the place as I'm working on hands. I don't know why. Lightly getting these shadows, and I'll have to better define them. When you use a shading tool like this, you don't want to depend on it for everything because it makes things look very fuzzy and out of focus. Great when you want things fuzzy and out of focus, but I'm going to have to come through with a pencil and sharpen all of this up later on. Another leaf going in front of her finger there. This does not look like a hand right now at all. Oh my gosh, I have coffee. Totally forgot. It's cold coffee now. Iced coffee. Kind of. Without ice. But it's cold enough it could be. Iced coffee you left in the car while you ran to the Target. I might be speaking from experience. And this is just a slow build. I'll try to put an update of the hand, if I remember, on Etsy. I'm talking about Etsy too much. On eBay. No, not on eBay either. Oh my gosh, I need more of the coffee. On Instagram. There we go. So you can see what that looks like when it's all in. But even, I don't know, this hand in this reference photo looks weird to me. Until the leaves get in, it's going to be odd anyway. But it's not going to be pretty tonight. I promise it'll get there. Now, don't be tempted to just jump to the darkest pencils or to like push harder. Because like right now, this is a 2H. I need it to be darker. It would be super easy to go, oh, I'll just push harder because that'll make it darker. Yeah, but then I can't layer on top of it. So don't do that. I'm going to switch now to a slightly darker pencil. So that was the 2H. Yeah, the F should work. Where was I? Here. Much better. And I don't have to push harder, so I'm not damaging the tooth of my paper. And I'll be able to layer on top of it as I need to. And see, now I'm going to sharpen up where I used the shading tool. I'm cleaning that up and sharpening up those edges. So the shading tool, like some people say never to use it. Well, yeah, you can use it. Just don't depend only on that. Heather said, I know a lot of artists have been leaving Etsy because of their latest changes. Oh, what are their changes? I don't even know. Rick's Artwork said, I think Pinterest has a business account option. If you get good at learning the right tags, so people can find your art, that could be a good way to sell as well, maybe. You know, Leela's been helping me with my Pinterest. She does, I tag house stuff. Leela tags art stuff or works on the art side of my Pinterest account. But she's been helping me a lot with that. But no, you're right. I've heard really good things about Pinterest, but that's one social media platform I've only used for like personal use to pretty much be a hoarder of ideas that I want to do in my house, or hoarder for backyard ideas or that sort of thing. I don't know enough to give you advice on how to use it. Maybe we'll focus on that. Maybe I'll focus on seeing if I can get some sales through Pinterest. And if I do, we'll figure out how that happened and what worked and what didn't work. And I'll share it with you guys. I'll start focusing a bit on that. Let's see if we can do anything with Pinterest, because I don't know. Cry said, what are your thoughts about people stealing their paintings with Mod Podge? Sealing, not stealing. We're not talking about copyright. Sealing with Mod Podge. I don't know. Mod Podge to me is a craft tool. So if I use it, it's because I took like tissue paper or something and I'm making like sticking it onto wood. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good fit. I've not researched it and I never considered myself using it on my fine artwork. So I really don't know. Although that's not totally true. I know it has to be archival because I used to have it in here. I don't have it in here. I used it on a painting where or a few times where I would take sheet music, use Mod Podge to glue it down to the canvas and then paint the opposite side of the sheet music. And so it must have been archival if I used it for that. But as far as sealing it, I don't think that's what it's intended for. Like as a normal, I think there's probably better options. I didn't use it to seal like the whole canvas. I used actual varnish for that. So I don't know. I don't want to give you bad advice. So I don't know. Donna says, scroll back. I was talking about what Etsy is doing. Oh, I'd have to scroll back too far. I meant to say Etsy. How far back did I miss? I don't know where that is. Oh, nope. I'm not sure. You may have to type your question out again or comment, Donna. I'm not sure where it came from. Off topic, do I work with the product brush and pencil blending powder fixative often? Would you still recommend it? Absolutely recommend it. Love it. I need to use it again soon. I don't know why I have so many things I want to do. That's the problem when you work with so many different mediums. You can only get so many done in a period of time. But no, I absolutely love it. Absolutely recommend it. Where was I? Here. Oop, too dark. Let's switch back to that 4H. There we go. I can't wait to be in a house where I don't have to listen to my neighbor's TV. That's going to be a novelty for me. Where's an eraser? It does help, though, I have to say. All the neighbors I've ever had who lived on the other side of my studio wall, I've loved them. So it's definitely helpful. Whereas, like, before I've had some really big jerks who live below me. Oh, their noise really irritates you when you don't even like the neighbor. But I'm really looking forward to that grown-up, not sharing a wall with neighbors thing. Gail said, have you mentioned there is a brand of nail polish that's non-toxic? I don't know that it's non-toxic. I use the 5 free. The bad stuff is not in mine. But I mean, everything is toxic to an extent. Even good stuff, if you have enough of it, it would be toxic. So I'm not sure anything's non-toxic. I mean, even acrylic paints that are technically non-toxic could be toxic in certain situations, or, you know, they do set off some chemical stuff. But no, I don't know. I do know the stuff that I'm using is the 5 Free, and it's by the Dawn Diva. Or if you look up, what is it? Hold on, I'll get it for you real quick. We'll see what hers say they are. But this is what I use. But then I use a different base coat as by somebody else, so I'm not sure on that. But let's see. Info, discounts, coupons, shout-outs. Whoops, that's rolled too far. Ingredients and more. Let's see what hers say. They are, oh, hers are the 10 free. That means no camphor, no a bunch of stuff I can't say, including formaldehyde. I know that one. Also included ingredients are ethyl acetate, butyl acetate, I can't say any of this stuff. I don't know that I would say any of that is non-toxic, but it's not like the really bad stuff, if that helps. I don't think that helps you at all. I don't know. Let's go with I don't know. That seems to be my default answer for everything tonight. But yeah, I know, well, hers are apparently the 10 free. Mine, the 5 free was the one you always went with. The ones that didn't have formaldehyde in it are the ones that I use. Like, that's my big thing I've looked into, or avoid. Julia said, hello, Lisa. Do you have advice for me? Because I always get discouragement from my parents because I want to pursue fine art for my college. I think we've talked about this before. If not you, this is a very common question. Go to get business and marketing for college. I don't know. Take classes as like an elective for art. I don't know that you need. I don't know what okay, let's see. How do I word this? Because I don't want to bash people who went to college, because certain art degrees that you want to do and you want to get in a certain animation, you typically are going to need to get a degree. But depending on what you want to do, like if you want to do what I'm doing, going to college would have just put me into debt for nothing. So it wouldn't have been beneficial in my case because I couldn't afford. I would have had to have taken out student loans, which are insane now because of the way our student loan program works. It wouldn't have made sense because it's hard. It can be hard to make a living with your art. And so I understand where your parents are coming from. I'm not saying don't be an artist. I'm saying, is college the path you need to take to get there? I don't know. You need to look into options and you need to look into other things. What I did, originally I thought I wanted to go into graphic arts. That lasted for like 6 months. I didn't want to go into graphic arts as it turned out. But what I did is I worked other jobs. You know, I worked at an animal hospital for years. Well, I built up my art career enough that I could teach, that I could do, you know, I was teaching out of Michael's before I could get to that point. But college wouldn't have benefited for what I wanted to do. College was not going to be a benefit for me in my case. It would have been worse for me because I would have gone into debt to get to the same point I am now. I don't know that is the best path. It's not, I don't think college is the path for everybody. And I know people are going to argue because that's what we tell kids. You have to go to college. I say go to trade schools. I think that's a better option that costs way less and is a really good way to go. I don't know many people who went to trade schools who couldn't get work, but I know a lot of people who got a degree in college are hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt and can't and work at Macy's or whatever with their art degree. So it depends on what you want to do with it. It depends on, are you taking out student loans for it? That makes a difference. You can do something else while you build your art career. So you don't have to go to college for it. Maybe you went to college for marketing, for business, something that can be applied to your art later, because that's the big thing that artists have a hard time in understanding. You can do that at the same time as doing art. And I'm not saying don't become a professional artist. I'm saying there is some truth and some validity to what your parents are telling you and what they feel. Are they paying for it? Are they, a degree in art isn't going to necessarily get you a job. And that's kind of a funny thing. There are some schools and some teachers that I've known of people who went to and they thought it was the best experience ever. They're glad they went. But I know so many artists with a degree in art who are working minimum wage at Macy's, or Starbucks, or you've got to consider what you're going to go into debt. And it seems like everyone goes into debt now for the college stuff, unless your parents are, or you have the money to pay for it outright. I don't know that I would jump into art college. I just don't see, I don't know. That's me. Other people I'm sure are going to disagree. Mostly it'll be the people who went to art college and now have to pay back that loan and don't want to feel bad about it, about that choice. But take business and marketing in college. That's going to help you with your art career. So that's almost something you can fall back on. And I know a lot of you'll hear these quotes from people. So what are we at? 9:57. I'm done drawing for tonight. That looks terrible. I'll make it look better. But one of the things that you often hear, these motivational speakers will tell people, just quit your job and jump in full force today on whatever your business is. That's bad advice. That's how you lose your house. That's how you go into crazy amounts of debt. Work up smart. Be smart about how you do things. So maybe with you, maybe going to college is good. Maybe get that business and marketing degree. Keep working on your art on your own. Take art classes. Take that as an elective, maybe. That degree in art isn't necessarily the end all of you're going to be a good artist. If I looked at a line of artists and picked out the ones I like the best, half of them didn't get a degree in art. It wasn't an indication that like the college wouldn't have made them better. They're amazing as they are. Some people did. Some people it was worth it. And I think it depends on where you live too. I'm talking, keep in mind, from the US where college is stupidly expensive. Everyone is going crazy into debt, has this insane amount of student loans that is holding them back from moving forward in their future because they have these horrible loans that they can't, it just sucks. The whole system right now is really frustrating to watch what people are going through who took out these student loans, yet still can't find work in that field that they wanted. And art is kind of a scary thing to go into debt for because you don't know, depending on how far in debt you go with it, what schools, did you go in-state, out-of-state, how much that's going to cost? I don't know. You just need to ask these questions of that. Now, being an artist is amazing. I am glad I did it, but I didn't need college to do it. I could have taken college to do another thing. Like there's another artist I know, Bombshella Creations, I think is her name. She is a professional artist. She sells her artwork. She's also a registered nurse. So she's not stressing if her paintings don't sell. She has another job and she enjoys both things. So, and I know plenty of full-time artists. Like I said, most of the ones I know who are making a living with art didn't go to college. Jason Morgan, he doesn't have a degree in art. Me, I don't have a degree in art. Lena Dania, no degree in art. Didn't go to college for that. Jason Morgan's actually, I think he was like an engineer or something crazy. Like he had a good job too before he moved into art. So I don't know. You just have to think of all of the pros and cons and know that college is not the only way to become a professional artist. Going into debt for college is not the only way to become a professional artist. Make those decisions, just kind of know about, that. But business and marketing are the things that really, if you want to take college classes, and even that you can learn on your own without college. So there's that. There's so much free information online. I guess it depends on what you're planning to do, but you need to think of the pros and cons of every choice there for sure. I just went on a huge rant of another of my, I don't know the answer. These are just things you should consider. Oops, that scrolled too far. Let's see. Again, and just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't be an artist. I'm saying college isn't the only answer. Where did we go? I see Donna saying, hopefully she sees it this time, but I don't see where the question was. Kylie said, I just wanted to say thank you. I find your work and work ethic so inspirational. Thank you. Rick's Artwork said, getting art degrees, I think, is dying off, especially like in the art schools. The Art Institute is bankrupt and closed all but a handful of schools nationwide. An Art Institute? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they ripped off a lot of people who left school not knowing more about art than when they entered. And that's hard. That's rough as an artist to be in debt. And it's hard to build yourself up because it's not like you get a degree in art. You don't get out of college. I got an art job. What art job? So a lot of people will think, and I've known of students that said this, well, I'll go into teaching. You have to get a degree, a certain level of education to teach in public schools or thing, that she wanted to teach in the college. Okay, so let's say out of all the colleges out there, there are 30 or 40, 50, I don't know how many colleges there are, so it's probably more than that. Let's say there's 50. We'll just use that as an example. Let's say there are 50 colleges that need an art teacher. Those art teachers, when they get that job, they're going to stay there most of the time, their whole life until they retire or die. It's not like every year 50 new positions open up. That's not how it works. Yet you've got thousands of artists getting degrees in art thinking they're going to go teach in a college. The positions aren't there. The demand is not there. It's not a wise financial choice to go into debt when you're not guaranteed to be able to teach in the field that you wanted to do. You may be able to get a job being a PE teacher somewhere. I don't know. But, it's not You've just got to look at the pros and cons of things. It's just getting a degree in art isn't like you get a degree in accounting, you're probably going to be able to get a job right off the bat and start paying those student loans off. That degree makes sense to go into debt to get. That's going to pay back your student loans and ideally go to school in state, make it easier or cheaper. And then, you've got a good, a stable job. Now, I'm not saying you should go be an accountant. If you want to be an artist, I am obviously passionate about what I do. Didn't need a degree for it. I didn't need to go into debt for that. So, you just have to think about, is getting this degree going to benefit my career at all? Yay, I got to write on my website that I have a degree in art. I mean, that's great if you went for the experience and you could afford it. That's one thing. I'm talking about people who go crazy in debt to take these classes and then can't pay back their student loan after. That's where I'm really focusing or, talking about. Wow, this project is looking great. Thank you. It's got a long way to go on that hand. For being a tutorial shading, drawing a hand live, yeah, it looks terrible right now. It'll get there. Leela said, my stepdad worked in marketing and taught me that learning marketing is more important. Oh, absolutely. Marketing, and that makes sense. You definitely know marketing. I know that from working with you. But marketing can make all the difference in the world in somebody's business, and especially with art. Like, that's so big. RC says, art is something we share. You don't have to go to college for art degree. Absolutely. And I don't mean to bash somebody who chose to go to college. I'm just saying you don't always have to. I mean, whatever. I'm just repeating myself. Donna said, thank you for tonight. And Nick, Edgar, and Joseph Fincham. Thank you both as well. Thank you for joining, Donna. Also, what am I not seeing from you? I saw that. That was highlighted. I'm not seeing I'm going to scroll up and see, because I see you've been trying for a bit, and I'm just not seeing. Oh, scroll back. I was talking about what Etsy is doing. Where, though? Let's see. Etsy. Hold on. I see comments from you, but I don't see. I see the one about the rescue animals. I just am not seeing. Like, it's not, why is it not showing up for me? Huh. I'm sorry, Donna, that I'm not seeing whatever it was you were saying about Etsy. I'm definitely interested. I'm not seeing it. I may just be looking over it all together. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Lottie said, would you draw a shark? Yes. If I get a good reference photo, absolutely. I love sharks. Gail said, my 31-year-old daughter, Haley, is a great artist with a BFA, but earns her living as an accountant. Go figure. See? There you go. Joseph said a mentorship with a working artist would be far more advantage. I can't say words than a college degree. Yep. Rick Sarver said, I went to school for graphic design, but ended up in IT as a storage engineer. That's where I could make a living. See, and that's what I see a lot. I'm not saying degrees are bad. I'm just saying it's not always what a lot of people think. They think they're going to go to school, be an artist, and then they're going to get out and all their work's going to be in galleries and they're going to be making all this money. That happens, but not often. Usually most of us get that to that point on our own without, not that we all get into galleries and make tons of money that way, but we work up to that. The degree didn't necessarily help. Kelly said, I hope you have a good night and continue to enjoy Mistborn. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I'm reading a book right now. It's the same guy who, oh my gosh, I loved the other book. Oh, what was it? The Starfall or something like that? But I'm reading Mistborn by, was it Daniel? Hold on, I'll tell you. Brandon Sanderson. There's no Daniel in there at all. But that one, it's like a 25-hour book or something. It's crazy long. The first 12 hours were so boring. And I think it's the narrator. I think if I read it on my own, it'd be different. The narrator's voice is crazy deep. And I'm not a fan of male narrators. There's very few that I really like. His voice is so deep that it's almost gritty, like skin crawly grit. Like, you know how sometimes, this is going to sound hilarious to some of you, sometimes someone's voice just kind of grates on you, which is funny because people say that about me all the time. But sometimes a voice you just don't really connect with. That's this narrator. He's a good voice actor. Like, he's actually really good at the different tones, the different voices, but everything's so deep that the woman's voice in it, I forget, she sounds like a little old man. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. And I'm having a hard time connecting with the characters. And I think it's the narrator. He's growing on me. I'm getting used to it. He's good at he's not one of those that is super dry and has no variation in his tone. Everything's good. It's just that it's so deep. It's almost like everything's, what is it called? Vocal fry, but on a man with an already deep voice. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's making like my head twinge. So I think that's probably why it was so slow for me. But the book, it seems so good. It's just really slow to start. Let's see. Letty said, Instagram has an entire community of plush sharks. Plush sharks. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, Nick said, like, they need a lozenge. And it's funny because this man, if I listen to him talk like something where he wasn't narrating in a book, I think, oh, he has a nice voice. It's fine. Like, sounds like a podcast person or something like that. But when he's narrating the book, like when he's even talking about the woman in her voice, he goes back to his normal gritty voice. And it's like, I'm having a hard time with the connection of this is the woman, but he sounds like a super deep gritty. I can't say it sound like that, but it's definitely like I'm having a hard time connecting. Now the book is getting good enough. And I went and looked at the reviews because I was tempted to return the book because the first, like, gosh, I was about 10 hours in and I was like, this is going nowhere. I'm so bored. I don't care about any of the characters. The narrator is just I'm not connecting with. So I looked at reviews just in case, because it's got such excellent reviews. So I wanted to see, well, does it get better? And there were a few that are like, just wait till like chapters 15 to 17 or so, it starts getting really good. So don't give up. It's worth it once you get to that point. So that's why I stayed with it. Now it's starting to get really interesting. But yeah, I think this would, if I had time to read on my own, I think I'd rather do that, but I don't have time. So there we go. Lauren said, hi, Lisa, watched last week's live stream yesterday and had no idea you had celiac or lived in Texas. I have celiac and live in Texas too. Two things in common. I have both those things. I had celiac. I'd say maybe it's Texas, but I had celiac in California. So it started there. Gail said, great evening. And thank you. I'm glad you said that, Gail. Make sure to check out our mods. Joseph and Nick both have great art channels here. Links are in the description. They do tutorials and actually, Nick doesn't do very much. I think Joseph works more often, but definitely check out their channels. Say thank you to them. They help me so much. They do a great job at keeping the trolls away, so we don't have the misery of listening to people be jerks in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining. Oh, let's see. Michelle said, Terry Goodlink has a great series called The Sword of Truth. It's fantasy, about 10 books long. My favorite author. Ooh, let's go ahead and write that down as a possibility. Hold on. I'm writing this before I get Terry Goodkind. And you said Sword of Truth. I have to check what the narrators sound like on some of these books, because they may be amazing books and the narrator just kills it for me sometimes. Have I looked at the book The Bear and the Nightingale by Karen? No. Okay, okay, hold on. Let's see. Bear and the Nightingale. I'll check it out. I mean, look and see if it sounds interesting anyway. Aaron Blaze gets asked the same question about art school and history, and he says the same thing. No college needed. He said that's why he makes his videos, to share knowledge for cheap. Yeah, see, exactly. And I have so much respect for Aaron anyway, so that's cool. He says the same thing. But yeah, with YouTube, for my Patreon, $4 a month, and you get the slow version of everything. Like each section, 2-hour version for the clothing, 2 hours or almost 2 hours for the hair. It's broken down. $4 a month, you can still put your money into art supplies. So now you can buy art supplies, which is the really expensive thing, and get tutorials from other artists who are sharing things like this with you. Whereas college, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, people I'm seeing go into debt for things that I'm just like, really? You're not going to make that. How are you going to pay for that? When you're done with college, how are you going to pay for that? So yeah. What's next week's live stream? It will probably be finishing. Will I be finishing this up? Probably be finishing this. I think I'll have her face and her hand hopefully done. I don't know. I have so much to do this week. It may be working on just shading and layering the out of focus bushes that you can't see right now. Here, hold on. Turn this so you can see the blank spot. This is the out of focus all over there, and that back corner needs to be that out of focus blurry, this here, is what maybe it'll be. I don't know. Probably this. No promises. Let's see. Yep. Okay, we are done. Thank you again, guys, so much for joining. Thank our mods. Check out their channels, and I'll see you next week.